Part 54. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 532. Chapter 532, Gather Together. It's not as comfortable as living at home if you rent a house outside. Aren't you looking for a job? Don't look for it, go directly to Anken's company and ask him to arrange a good job for you. Aunt Lan, who moved at her request, directly pulled the person to her side, and spoke to the two of them. This is not good, is it? Zhou Shuang's bold temperament is true, but she also has a bottom line. Living together? She can't accept it now. Looking at her troubled expression, Aunt Lan Hua slapped her forehead hard. Look at my mouth, I can't even speak. Pick up Zhou Shuang and walk to a room. This is the room I plan to give my future daughter-in-law to live in. Even An Chengdu was kicked out by me. From now on, you will sleep here. At this moment, Zhou Shuang's shy mental arithmetic was determined. Just stay at your boyfriend's house, okay? She was a little undecided. And Chen was reluctant to separate from her, even on the first day of their relationship. My mother is right, you can live here. The place you live in is really bad. He went to pick her up and knew where she lived. This she was still a little scared. What is this? This is settled. It's still early. You go out to buy some daily necessities and come back. Also, and Cheng, I remember that you also have a car. Let Shuang drive it too, so that she won't have to go out. Convenient. She is not that generous to others, but this is no one else. She is her daughter-in-law, and given the situation, she doesn't feel distressed in a hurry. Zhou Shuang revealed her family background when chatting with his mother. She didn't want to hide it. What is gained by hiding it will not last long. She would not hide anything, so seeing her aunt treat her so well, Zhou Shuang couldn't help crying. She can't say nice things, but she can do them. Auntie, thank you. Seeing her cry, Aunt Lan Hua felt very uncomfortable. You kid, what are you talking about? My family said thank you. I'll call your uncle tomorrow and I'll arrange the engagement for you when he comes over. And Cheng felt very uncomfortable seeing Zhou Shuang's fragile side. There is not much he can do but give her everything he has. And Cheng has already accomplished this. For example, their first child was lost to his grandmother by his unscrupulous father. Of course, this is something. After Zhou Shuang cried, he stayed at the He family. When the two of them went out to buy necessities, Aunt Lan Hua picked up the phone and started a long phone call. Anyway, the people in Hejia village who are far away know that the son of He Jinnan's family has a girlfriend. Mei Shui and Hians laughed when they found out. It finally worked, otherwise grandma would have lost a lot of hair. These three old ladies have been very busy trying to find a blind date for An Cheng. Of course, the quality was also a lot worse, so the three of them stopped complaining about it. However, in order to succeed, they still looked around for a suitable match. It's okay now, he found her by himself. She is such a good girl, it's great to see her right away. In such a happy time, an unhappy thing came to my door. Okay, we'll go there right away. Hian's phone rang, and after he answered it, his face dropped. Looking at Mei Shui, Hian said helplessly, the boss has found all the medicinal materials, let us go now. They rarely talked about the troubles outside in front of grandma. Even though he was angry again, Hian still held back and spoke softly. Mei Shui raised her head and looked at Hian's, giving him a knowing smile. Then it's a good relationship and a big business, let's go there. At first, I thought he could endure it as long as he could, but now it seems, Being able to achieve the position of boss shows that he has come through the company's special period, but there is no merit in him, which makes the two feel relieved to start. After establishing the foundation, Mei Shui saw a lot more things. For example, merit. Hians hasn't built the foundation yet, but he is not in a hurry. He can just find an opportunity to overcome the tribulation when the work here is finished. With the enlightenment tea tree, it is impossible for him to survive the foundation establishment tribulation. You guys are going out at this time? After hearing what they said, Grandma, he asked worriedly. We just went to the store. A customer found the medicinal materials I asked him to find. If we don't deal with it early, the efficacy of the medicine will be lost. We will be back soon, Mei Shui comforted her grandma. Then she looked at the 3 children beside her and said, please stay with me, my wife, and then go to bed after I come back. Mei Shui was worried that her boss would take action, so she had to take precautions. Okay, we get it. The 3 children are very well behaved and obedient. Even if their mother doesn't tell them, they don't intend to let their wife stay alone in the front yard. The pocket money will be doubled tomorrow, Hien said generously. Oh, thank you, Dad, the 3 children shouted happily. Grandma He's mood was relieved by the children's jokes. Leaving home, Mei Shui asked Hiens to set up a formation in front of the gate. Once it is forcibly destroyed, they will feel it. There is also a small magic array added inside to ward off intruders. Let's go. Hien's current cultivation level, this small formation waved his hand. Arriving at the place appointed by the boss, Mei Shui and Hiens immediately tensed up. Because they found that there were many people around, and they also brought some weapons that could threaten them. The two looked at each other and both smiled. With their current cultivation level, these things can only threaten them, but cannot kill them. Go in, don't keep people waiting. The place they came to was a villa on the hillside, which was probably where the boss lived. After retiring from his position, he did not even enter the company's internal nursing home. He came here just for this day. But whatever he thinks, it will not have good consequences if it offends cultivators. Mei Shui had no intention of practicing medicine for him in the first place, so asking him to find medicine was just an excuse to find some useful medicine for herself. No matter how defensive he was, she was not afraid. There was someone waiting at the gate. You two, please follow me. He was very polite. Hiens and Mei Shui didn't have a good look towards these people, because they both saw the dark evil aura in them. It seems that no one here has done anything good, so they are probably a weapon in the hands of the boss. So many years have been really everyone. Coming to the living room of the villa, the interior is very simple, but if you look closely, you will see that everything is valuable. Here you come quickly, these are the things you want, Hao said, pointing to the things on the ground. As soon as these things arrived, he had people bring them over. He has been waiting for a long time. Mei Shui took a casual glance and discovered the doorway. He hooked his lips and said mockingly, "Boss, if you have other ideas, you can tell me directly. What's the point of calling us here now?" It was obvious that the medicinal materials on the table had been tampered with. Let's not say it's shoddy, but the quality isn't much better. But something like this still has the aura of a complete product. One can imagine the ghost in it. It wasn't Hao's idea, I'm afraid it was his acquiescence. If I didn't have any skills, I would probably explain it here, right? Actually, Mei Shui guessed right. Those things are so precious that I can't bear to take them out even now. That person said that these medicinal materials alone can strengthen the body and there is no need to practice elixirs at all. He just thought about giving it a try, but he didn't expect her reaction to be so big. Seeing that someone is angry, the people on the side will silently step forward and form a circle, directly surrounding the person in the center. It seems that these people do these things a lot. Seeing that the atmosphere suddenly became tense, number one was reluctant to part with Mr. Sun's precious pills. He waved his hand, "Don't be nervous. This is my distinguished guest. You can't neglect it." That's what he said, but his power was also sufficient. "Boss, just tell me what you mean." Mei Shui became impatient. All the good things have been hidden away, wouldn't her visit this time be in vain? The two of them found a seat at random and sat down. They had no intention of embarrassing themselves. They really don't take these people seriously. Hyans moved his hands a few times when no one was paying attention. What the outcome will be depends on their fate. Haha, you are overthinking it. It's just that the owner of this medicinal material is reluctant to show it to others. No, I invite you here just to ask you to talk to him and let him give up the medicinal material. Haha, are you really treating people like fools? They don't know what the plan is. Soon, a dark and thin old man came over from behind the stairs. Hold 3 boxes in his hand. They are full of spiritual energy, and they must be the 3 medicinal materials that Mei Shui likes most. This is a good thing. No matter who takes it, it will directly regulate the body to its strongest state. Of course, no matter how good the medicine is, it still needs to be refined, otherwise the life-saving medicine will turn into poison, the kind that will kill you when you take it in. You want me to give up these medicinal materials, but can you please answer a question? The old man began to look at them as soon as they came in. Seeing that they were so young, he became even more disdainful. Now that he has this attitude again, how can he not be angry? Oh, what do you want to ask? What do you want as reward? She was not his, and she had no obligation to provide him with the solution for free. Little girl, it's better to be polite. After hearing this, the old man immediately became dissatisfied. Hyans didn't care about all that, he just used a hidden hand to inflict more hidden injuries on the old man's body. Mei Shui took Hyan's hand and said, "It's not worth it. This kind of person only has a few days left to live, so don't get your hands dirty." Hyans put down his hand, held Mei Shui's hand tightly, and took advantage of it. Mei Shui rolled her eyes, but let him go. Even though she was old, she was still the same as when she was young, not in shape. Politeness depends on the person you're talking to. Do you think you're worthy of it? Mei Shui's aura rose and she faced the old man. As soon as the old man finished speaking, he fell to his knees. "There's no need to give such a big gift," Mei Shui said with a smile. "Having been here for so long, I haven't even had a cup of tea." It seems that the boss is very defensive about himself. Seeing this scene, Hao was not stupid and immediately started to talk about peace. "Comrade Mei, don't be angry, Mr. Mao just cares too much about his medicinal materials. Why don't you tell him?" Hearing this, Mei Shui smiled and said, "Okay, I won't charge him tuition this time. It is true that these medicinal materials are good things, but as a common sense, no matter how good the medicine is, it needs a container just like your original body. Do you think your body can accommodate such a powerful medicine?" Mei Shui was very rude and yelled, "Don't say it's you, just this old Mao. He didn't take it himself. Isn't it because he couldn't digest the power of this medicinal material? If one of them is not good, I'm afraid of taking it. He will die immediately. If you don't believe me, you can let him try. Anyway, it's not illegal to try." Mei Shui is a cautious person. No. S eyes really moved to Mr. Mao. Thinking of what he said before, Hao felt that he was being treated as a fool. Now it seems that this person is here just for the He family. She is right. Seeing his eyes turning to him, Mao was so old that he was not afraid of death and admitted directly, "I just want to see who has such great ability and can actually practice medicine for people to use. If possible, he would like to take it himself. You must know that if these medicinal herbs are removed, he will definitely be able to live longer." Meixu was not interested in his thoughts. "Did you see it? Are you satisfied?" "Haha, I'm satisfied, very satisfied. Well, after coming here for so long, it's time to see how these medicinal materials are doing." Number one immediately interrupted the conversation between them. He didn't want to delay any longer. He invited Mr. Mao and bought 3 of the most precious medicinal plants from him. Now is not the time for a quarrel. Mei Shui rolled her eyes, "Then take out the medicinal materials." After seeing the medicinal materials, Mei Shui smiled. The effect of the medicine is pretty good, but a lot of it was lost. I think this old man Mao has also noticed it. Mei Shui smiled and looked at Mr. Mao. If you want to take advantage, there is no way. The medicinal materials that have lost their efficacy have been somewhat discounted, but the medicinal materials that the old men brought back were in the same condition, so they can be used no matter what. You have to give it a chance. Hearing the previous words, Hao straightened up nervously, but fortunately, the following words made him feel relieved. That's good, Hao said with a sigh of relief. Mr. Mao didn't expect that this little girl could have such abilities. It seems that he has to find a way. Mei Shui and others have very keen senses, especially those who are malicious to themselves. In that case, let's take these medicinal materials away first, Mei Shui said very politely. No. Was in a dilemma. He could not trust her to take away the medicinal materials. I wonder what it takes to refine these medicinal materials? I'll have people prepare them right away. I can't bother you with anything. Just refine them here. Human essence is human essence. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 533. Chapter 533, Thoughts? Are you two ready? In the last step, as long as the air holes are opened, they will be different from the rest of the world. Xiao Pen nodded firmly. Mom, I'm ready. His mother had already told him about training, and he had longed for it, especially practicing medicine, which made him even more happy. It turned out that it was not that his medical skills were not good, but that he had not reached that level. Okay, come on, Xiao Pan. Mei Shui smiled and took out a medicine bottle. At this time, Xiao Cheng spoke. Mom, is it true that little Fufu can't do it? He didn't understand love, but he knew that little Fufu was the person he wanted to protect in the future, and he couldn't bear to leave her further and further away. Meixia shook her head. No, she has no spiritual roots and can't rest at all, but you can live a safe life. She had already taken care of Xiao Fufu's body. Just like normal people. Mom, is there nothing you can do? Xiao Cheng asked anxiously. Mei Shui still shook her head. No. After saying that, Mei Shui looked at Xiao Cheng very seriously. You have made your decision now. You can choose to be an ordinary person with Xiao Fufu. Mom will not force you to choose. They are all her sons. Of course she wants her sons to have better choices, but she also doesn't want to go against their wishes. And Xiao Peng, she asked the same question. Xiao Peng, you can also choose. Your elder brother can't practice. Mom knows that you two have a good relationship, so you can make a choice again. The two of them became silent after listening. After a while, Xiao Peng raised his head and said, Mom, I want to practice. I want to learn more advanced medical skills. I will take good care of my brother in the future. He believed that he had the ability to protect his brother. Xiao Cheng has a battle between heaven and man in his mind. He also wants to learn more advanced martial arts, but what should Xiao Fufu do? After waiting for a while, maybe seeing Xiao Cheng's confusion, Mei Shui said, there are many methods after cultivation. Mom and Dad still have a short journey to go and can't find a way to help Xiao Fufu and your big brother. But, you can try it. She is telling the truth, because she is also very vague about the ancient world of cultivation. In case there is no other way, Mom also hopes that you will not go astray. Then don't blame your parents for being ruthless. She can't control others, but she doesn't want her own child to become a monster. Now, you make your own choice, Mei Shui said seriously. Xiao Peng nodded firmly. Mom, I do. Xiao Cheng also raised his head after Xiao Peng finished his answer. Mom, I choose to cultivate. He will definitely protect Xiao Fufu in this life, but he doesn't understand the bigger truth. But he knows that only by being strong can he protect the people he wants to protect. Whether it's little Fufu, the eldest brother, or the second brother from his parents, they are all his family. He wants to be strong. After making a choice, Xiao Cheng's eyes became firmer. Mom, don't worry, I won't let you down. Getting the answers from her two sons, Mei Shui smiled. Okay, Mom believes in you. Pour the potion into their bathtubs and operate according to the exercises I teach you, and you can't stop until you feel the breath. The master led them in, and her practice depended on the individual. She taught them everything she could. The way forward will depend on how they take it. They stayed together for 3 days. When Hian saw that they hadn't returned home for a long time, he came over to find them. How are you? Haven't you come out yet? As soon as Hian's arrived at Ji's house, he went to the backyard and saw Mei Shui waiting stupidly in the yard. Feeling a familiar embrace, Mei Shui leaned half into his embrace. No, there's no movement yet. There was no movement among the three of them. Don't worry, wait a moment. If I had known this, I should have put them into the space. But he didn't say the next words. He knew that Mei Shui must have thought about it, but there must be her reason why she didn't do it. Tell me, are we too selfish? Mei Shui sighed for no reason. No, we are not wrong. What is wrong is the way of the world. Even if they practiced early, they would not make much progress now. They themselves practiced very late. The current progress is mainly due to chance. They are so young, how can they do it just by the chance of the two of them? Hians didn't dare to leave when he saw Mei Shui like this. Not to mention Ji's parents, they have no intention of going out to work. While they were worried about their children, there was also a call from Xiangguo. It turned out that the Long family had opened a herbal medicine shop there, and I asked them if they wanted to go over and have a try. Hians and Mei Shui didn't want to play, so they declined the invitation directly from the Long family. After learning about it, Father Long felt that something was not right. He held a meeting at home and returned to Kyoto with his wife. Mei Shui and Hians were busy when they came, so they didn't see anyone. On the 6th day, the three people in the room finally made some noise. The first person to make any movement was Xiaoyu. With her room as the center point, the surrounding vegetation began to grow crazily. With spiritual power overflowing, Mei Shui and Hians immediately realized something was wrong and immediately set up formations. Even so, it alarmed many people. But they were all blocked out by Ji's father and Ji's mother. As people from Miao village, they knew something about Xiaoyu, and they also helped Ji's father and Ji's mother to send away the people watching the fun. Some people even used machetes to cut down the tall grass and trees on the ground. When there was movement on Xiaoyu's side, Xiaopeng's side also echoed. The surrounding grass began to grow wildly again, but because of the formation, it did not spread to the outside. However, there is something happy about Xiaopeng, that is, the grass and trees that grew up were completely burned by a flame in a short time. Seeing this, Mei Shui smiled. Yes, it seems that Xiaoyu's qualifications are better. Xiaopeng's is also good, very suitable for him. If he wants to learn medicine, the dual spiritual roots of fire and wood are also very suitable for him, Mei Shui commented. Hians was also very pleased. No, I just don't know if I can suppress Xiaoyu in the future. Xiaoyu is a really good kid. Shanligan is the most popular in this world where spiritual power is scarce. They are husband and wife, it's okay. It doesn't matter who is stronger. Mei Shui never worried about this problem. Besides, even if Xiaoyu is no longer with Xiaopeng, she still feels that Xiaoyu is not the kind of irrational person. The problem of not being together must be with our son. You. Before the two of them finished talking, there was another noise from Xiao Cheng. Soon, a golden light flashed. It directly shocked Xiao Jin in Hian's mind. Oh my god, mutated golden spiritual root, master, your son is so strong. Hearing this, Hians was a little confused. What do you mean, can the golden spirit root mutate? Ouch, you don't understand. A single golden spiritual root is very good, but Xiao Cheng is different. He is mutated. Not only does he have strong defense, but he can also fuse himself with the spiritual root. He is the spiritual root, the spiritual root is him. Xiao Jin explained to Hians. Hurry, master, strengthen the formation, otherwise you will not be able to resist the attack of the golden spirit root, Xiao Jin suddenly shouted. Hians didn't say anything and just reinforced it. Several formations and spells were fired, and the formations were thickened several layers. Even so, several layers were broken by Xiao Chang, who had just entered the Qi training period. Xiao Chang, what's going on? Mei Shui looked confused. At this time, Hians told Mei Shui what Xiao Jin said. After listening, Mei Shui knew two words: her youngest son is a great person. It turns out that spiritual roots can be fused with people. I didn't expect it, Mei Shui sighed. No, this is the first time I've heard of it, but it's a good thing for Xiao Chang. Hians was very happy for his son. He is afraid that if he continues to practice like this, the world will not be able to satisfy him. Mei Shui sighed as she looked at the thin spiritual energy around her. Have you forgotten Xiaobai's place? When he really grows up to that point, we can send him in. He still cares about his son very much. But will this break the balance inside? Mei Shui was a little worried. Before Hians could speak, Xiao Jin jumped out. No, no, there are people living inside, it's just blocked. Its body is inside, and it can know some things inside. Is there anyone else? Mei Shui was surprised. Of course, it's just that spiritual beasts and humans don't live together. Its body told it so. Okay, let's ask Xiaobai about this when we have the opportunity. If there really is such a world, it can be regarded as the mercy of heaven. Soon, 3 people walked out of the room. Mom, I succeeded. 3 voices shouted in unison. Looking at the 3 of them, Mei Shui and Hians had loving faces. You are all great. After washing with some water, the appearance of the 3 people has changed a lot. Before, they looked like first-class people. Now, they are even more talented. Of course, just talking about looks. At Ji's house in Bama village, the sun gradually withdrew its yellow light, and the lush trees growing around Ji's house breathed in the aura of the surroundings. Smoke also drifted from the farmhouse chimney. The 2 families gathered at Ji's house could finally have a happy dinner. I've made you worry these past few days, Hian said with emotion to Ji's mother, who was a little haggard. It's okay, they are all our children, it's nothing. Ji's father smiled and drank a glass of wine. The winking Xiaopeng helped him fill it up again. I hope they will get better and better in the future. It's nothing to suffer a little now. Ji's father was really happy for his children. They only have 2 children. As the youngest child in camouflage, Xiaoyu receives the most love. Now that she has her own opportunities, the parents are of course happy for her. I am happy but also a little disappointed because my child will no longer be on the same path as me. Looking at her lost parents, Xiaoyu felt very sad, but she had no regrets. Mom, Dad, I will not leave you. Even if she has such ability, she still does not plan to stay away when her parents are around. Silly boy, you will get married one day, how could you not leave us? Ji's mother glared at her man and daughter angrily. Now hurry up and eat. After eating, go and have a good rest. This sitting is a few days. Mothers feel very sorry for their children. Yes, I know. Xiaoyu knew what her mother meant. But it was Xiaopeng. He glanced at Xiaoyu several times because Xiaoyu's eye frames were red. Xiao Cheng also has his own cultivation path. He doesn't know how long he can persist, but Xiao Fufu is his beloved wife, and he will definitely be good to her. Teenage boys have already reached puberty and are confused about the feelings between men and women. After staying at Ji's house for 2 days, Hians and Mei Shui returned to the city with their children. Let's talk about the road later. Now, they still have to go to school. Hians and Mei Shui met Dragon Father and Dragon Mother as soon as they came back. Mei Shui was stunned for a moment when she saw the 2 of them. Why are you here, Mei Shui still had a good impression of the two of them. I'm feeling better now. I want to walk around, so I'm here. Dragon Mother immediately stepped forward and took Mei Shui's arm. Meixiu didn't believe it. Come on, your body is in good condition, but you can't withstand such a long journey, so you should rest more at home. Father Long couldn't stand it anymore, so he stepped forward and snatched his wife's hand away. I said the same thing, but she didn't want to. Please help me talk to her. Mei Shui rolled her eyes at him. She's not my wife, what does it have to do with me? After saying that, Mei Shui walked directly into the living room and sat down. Father Long and the others also came here to inquire about some inland matters. He has done enough inquiring in the past few days. He used some of Hean's connections and came today to talk to him. Men talk about things, and women talk about their children. Mother of Dragon is very envious of Mei Shui. By the way, the herbal medicine shop in Xiangguo is doing very well. I know. He is loved by many wealthy people, including many officials. I know. We were thinking about opening it a little wider. Even though Xiangguo is a small place, it has a lot of people. I know. These two people had a meaningless conversation. The father and mother of the dragon stayed at the He family for 2 days and then returned to the country of Xiang. The matter of Dragon Mother's health is not a secret in Biguo. Everyone knows that she suffered a lot of damage during childbirth, but she is actually getting better now. Everyone became more curious about medicinal foods. Long Er is almost crazy with his work now. Once this medicinal food store opens, he will not be able to find the person he likes. Complaining to his elder brother day by day. Brother Long also tried it a few times, and it really made him feel a lot more relaxed. After that, he also ordered each of his meals to be meals from a herbal restaurant. Not to mention, the usual minor problems disappeared after taking the medicinal diet for a few days. He was not the only one who discovered this, there were many others. Longdo was also grateful for the benefits his family received this time. He heard that the He family had other businesses, and he planned to check them out. After learning about his idea, Father Long agreed very much. He was more excited about his eldest son going to the inland than he was about going inland himself. The He family are all capable people. If they can make good friends, there will definitely be benefits in the future. The idea of Father Long is shared by the Long family, or everyone who knows the details of the He family. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 534. Chapter 534, Exit. Is the He family so easy to get infected with? Of course it's impossible. No, Longde came directly to the He family after arriving inland. Grandma He was very fond of young people and welcomed him in very enthusiastically. But Hians was not so happy. Our two families will not be involved in more business. Hians spoke very straightforwardly. Why, based on the status of the Long family, they can be regarded as the emperor of the country in Xiang Kingdom. Why? Why don't you know? You don't know what your Long family is doing. Now that the Xiang Kingdom has returned, is it still far behind to rectify the Xiang Kingdom? Father Long swallowed, and his whole person suddenly became decadent. Is Inland really planning to take action against Xiang Kingdom? He knew something, but what he knew was not that clear. Hians rolled his eyes at him. What do you think? If it weren't for the fact that he was a junior, Hians would have kicked the person out. Now that Long Er has business cooperation with his family, he actually knows that there are some things that you can't just put aside if you want to. Now I'm going to give you some advice. I'm afraid there will be severe crackdowns from the top. You also know the severe domestic crackdowns 10 years ago. You'd better be prepared. I'm afraid this time it won't be lighter than those times. He met the old men several times, and the old men revealed some ideas. Either the Long family hides in hiding, or withdraws from the Dragon Kingdom. Siang Kingdom is now also a place of the Dragon Kingdom. This is impossible after so many years of operation. How could the Long family leave? Neither he nor his family would agree. Then there's nothing you can do. Don't think that no one knows about the things you do secretly, Hien said happily. No matter how big a family is, how powerful is the country. Of course it's impossible. Long Ruda, also known as Boss Long, was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. After he took over his father's business, he also took over the private affairs of the Long family. Because of these things, something almost happened when his parents returned to the mainland last time. In fact, he was very disgusted with the things happening in the dark. Now that he heard such news again, he felt even more panicked. Uncle is it true that the Long family can avoid everything? He was afraid that his father would not be able to let go of the country he had conquered over the years. It depends on whether your family thinks life or money is more important. The country of Siang is very chaotic, and it is even more chaotic secretly. Even if he has never been there, he can still hear some of it from the conversations between the old men. Long Ruda couldn't give a clear answer at the moment, but as his parents happened to be there, they just had to discuss it together. That night, Long Ruda went to his father and talked about what Uncle he said. Father Long fell silent after hearing this. It's not that he doesn't want to part with the money, but he doesn't want to let go of the brotherly relationship that he has had for many years. The second child is indeed too much, but there are many brothers in there who have followed me step by step since they were young. Dad, I think Uncle he is right. Our family has always wanted to turn things around, and now is the best opportunity. Long Ruda's idea was more radical. He didn't have that deep affection for those uncles. Due to family reasons, he rarely hung out with those uncles since he was a child, but Ziyuan's affection for them became deeper. Even if the Long family of Siang Kingdom is gone, can't our family be able to develop a new Long family? As long as they are still there, the Long family will be there. Long Ruda said a lot, and Father Long finally sighed. Well, since the company's affairs have been handed over to you, you can take care of these things. I plan to take your mother out for a walk in 2 days. Go. It is impossible abroad. The second child is deeply involved with foreign countries. He is not afraid of being alone, but he is afraid of hurting her. Hearing what his father said, Yuruida laughed and said, well, my mother has suffered a lot these years. Dad, you should go out for a walk with your mother. Father Long rolled his eyes at his eldest son. You know a lot, but things are not as simple as you think. If you want to quit, you can't care about the little profit. If your second uncle wants to take over, you can convert everything into cash. Father Long is still very worried about his second brother. I know this. Even if we don't have cash, the land is good. Maybe we can go back when the storm is over. Long Ruda had a lot on his mind. He knew that it was impossible for his parents not to return to Siang Kingdom for the rest of his life. In this case, although the Long family had withdrawn from the secret affairs, they could not completely wipe out everything openly. You know, if you have an idea, don't interfere with your second brother. It's best to make a fuss with Ziyuan, Father Long ordered. I understand. Just 2 days after staying at his house, Long Ruda left and returned to Xiongguo. As soon as he left, Hians felt better. Zioxiu, how about we go out for a walk? I haven't gone out with my wife for a few days. Especially when there are 2 more people in the family recently, it's really annoying. Mei Shui glanced at him, then saw the Long family couple in the courtyard, and laughed heartlessly. I'm not that squeamish, but I can do it when I go shopping. It was rare to relax, so of course she would not refuse. That's it, let's go. Wang Xiaoao just gave me a lot of shopping cards. We can't waste them. Wang Xiaoao is now of wealth in Kyoto. The real estate and shopping malls he developed are considered a good business. The mall is one of the best in Kyoto. It houses all the world's biggest brands and is a shopping paradise for women. The relationship is good. Why don't I call you sister Hui? It's good for a couple to go shopping, but it's not fun to go shopping without sisters. No, it's just the two of us today, Hians resisted. Mei Shui was speechless for being so childish despite her age. Okay, if you don't bark, don't bark. After the two cleaned up, they walked out hand in hand. Grandma has long gone out to listen to the opera with her good sisters. Recently, Grandma has found a new thing and has a lot of fun playing it every day. When he went out, Hians showed off, and Father Long almost followed him in anger. Fortunately, the mother of dragons stopped her because she felt unwell. Looking at the two grown men being as vindictive as children, the two women really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Let's not drive today. We can walk there. It's not too far anyway. When they got to the car, Mei Shui took Hian's hand and said. Of course Hian's had no objection. Okay, it was only half an hour's journey from home to the mall, so they could still walk. This mall is right next to Hauerhei Courtyard, where An Wen and the others bought a house for their parents last time. This is a property developed by Wang Xiaoyao. If it were not surrounded by residential areas, it would take them less time to walk in a straight line. Walking slowly on the road, you can see all the pedestrians walking around. The appearance of the two also attracted many people's attention. Hians and Mei Shui lived a simple and happy life. And the dragon family of Xiangguo. The noise is going crazy now. Ruda, I don't know if this was your idea or your father's. Since you said so, my uncle can't embarrass you. The second head of the Long family was actually happy. When he learned the news that the Long family wanted to be transferred out of Xiang Kingdom, he made his own arrangements. After asking around, he learned that because the mainland wanted to manage the country of Xiang, Boss Long was afraid, and he planned to sell the Long family, which he had been running for many years. It's really funny. Think about how the Long family made their fortune back then. I'm afraid those at a young age have long forgotten it. Now that the roots have been cut off, Long Yuankai is really a good son. Long Ruda had been prepared for a long time, and the news that his second uncle got was also deliberately released by him. Looking at the arrogance of his second uncle, Yuruda felt sad. Following such a person, he didn't know what would happen to those brothers in the future. Of course, he has no obligation to know those who are unfaithful. Second uncle, don't worry. This matter is the result of my discussion with my father. It just so happens that you and third uncle are both here. Who among you two wants to take over? Long Ruda sat in the main seat and looked at the eldest man beside him. The two uncles said. The third head followed Father Long in everything. He was also confused about what happened this time, but looking at Ruda's expression, he didn't speak. The second boss glanced at the third boss with a look of disdain on his face. Forget it about the third boss. The eldest brother is planning to quit, so I guess he won't stay, right? After saying that, the second boss looked at the third boss. Long Ruda also looked at his third uncle and nodded secretly. Whether third uncle saw it or not, Long Ruda didn't speak anymore. The third head of the family is not named Long. He is the life and death brother who has been following Father Long since he was young. The relationship between him and Father Long is unimaginable by others, and even Long Ruda doesn't understand what's going on. Long Ruda didn't tell him what was going on, but he had already received a call from his elder brother. Looking at the second brother with a smile, you are right, second brother. I have no ambition in the first place. My existence is to obey the eldest brother's life-saving grace. Since the eldest brother quits, then I will quit with him. The words of the third master are very direct. There is also a group of people behind the third master, all of whom are very skilled. It can also be regarded as the backbone of the Long family army. After hearing what the third master said, several stewards immediately stood up and expressed their stance. We will all follow the third master. The smile on the second master's face immediately dropped. You should understand that you are from the Long family, not from the third son. Long Ruta laughed. Second uncle is right, they are from the Long family, and it is up to them whether they stay or leave. He is the representative of the Long family. With Long Ruta's voice, the second boss could only swallow this phlegm. Things were settled quickly. Long Ruta and the third master withdrew from the Umbu, but their share of the second master was paid with money or land. If only money is used, the second boss may be reluctant to part with it. He has earned a lot of money over the years, but it is impossible for him to take it out, even if it is used to replace property. But using land is much easier. He doesn't need too much land on hand. He is mainly responsible for the casino part. Those who lose use land and houses as mortgages. He really doesn't lack these things. The third head of the family has no objection. The eldest brother has never treated him badly, and he has no descendants. The money will eventually be given to the eldest brother's descendants, so it doesn't matter whether he has money or not, but he can get these things from his old hands. Still very happy. After handing over the affairs of the Umbu, Long Ruta found his younger brother and told him the family's plans. Long Er was not very concerned about these things. He used to just want to be a playboy, but after meeting Hishiu, he changed him. Now, he is focusing on the preparation of medicinal diet and medicinal material base. He has feelings for the Long family secretly accompanying him, but he will not interfere in the decisions made by his eldest brother. Brother, you don't need to tell me these things. Looking at his anxious look, Long Si-yuan only felt funny. His elder brother is such a serious person, but he is still afraid of himself. Since childhood, he has been afraid of his elder brother. I listened to you and Dad. He had no objection. But there are a few uncles who I still want my eldest brother to take care of. Those are the ones with whom he has the best relationship. If you can have a good relationship with Long Si-yuan, who can have a bad relationship with the head of the Long family? This time when the Long family withdrew, they of course immediately followed suit. Besides, they are very disciplined and have already reached the point of retirement. Now that the second child is in charge of the Umbu, it is even more impossible for them to stay there. Perhaps they would all leave Xiongguo in the past few years to avoid it for a while. They know better than anyone what will happen when the government changes. Don't worry, Dad has already made arrangements in the mainland. Speaking of this, Long Ruta was very happy. Finally, I figured out how to plot against Uncle He. I don't know if Uncle He will fall out with Dad when he finds out. That's good, but if the Long family is away from Xiongguo, I'm afraid many people will get into trouble. Si-yuan, if you stay in Xiongguo, you'll suffer some injustice. This is what he is most worried about. Long Si-yuan is not stupid, of course he knows these things. It's okay, we are still in love. I can still protect myself in Xiang country, whether it is the Hua family or the Zheng family. He believes that they will not ignore him. Well, I will say hello to some uncles when I leave. You should be more comfortable and just do your own business. Honestly, the Long family made it clear that they were retiring this time. Who knows if it's true? Uncle He is a talented person, and the Long family will definitely be able to reach a higher level by relying on him. Whether it is practicing medicine or martial arts, the Long family cannot compare to the He family. Although it is intentional to cling to, the friendship is also sincere. He Ans and Mei Shui don't know yet that they are being remembered, but so what if they know? I just happen to be looking for a helper for my eldest son. Long Ruta and Long Si-yuan acted out a drama about brothers turning against each other. This drama was a bit childish, but it was also what some people wanted to see. The Long family all withdrew from Xiang Kingdom very quickly. In less than a week, they all left Xiang. The only people left behind were those who were close to the second son of the Long family. These people did not pose a threat to the second head of Umbu, so he let them go. Those who still relied on Long Si-yuan's medicinal diet also began to stand up. So what Father Long and Long Ruta were worried about did not happen. What people fear most in this world is birth, old age, illness, and death. Now that medicated diet can help them find a second life, of course they must protect it. After the Long family withdrew, the people above also breathed a sigh of relief. They don't want to use force. What they want to see most is to be able to disintegrate one party's forces in this way. Unless absolutely necessary, compatriots will not harm compatriots. Hians got a headache when he saw those people in his yard as soon as he got home from work. Brother Ens is here, come quickly, come here, we are talking about you, let me introduce you. Father Long almost regarded this place as his home. Vote is moving, thank you to all the babies who voted. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 535. Chapter 535, Potential. The yard in Hauerhay is very popular now, and no one is selling it no matter how high the price is, which makes Father Long very angry. He had no choice but to live in the He family shamelessly. He would not be willing to leave anyone who made the He family feel too comfortable. Brother Long, can you be a little more conscious of being a guest? Hians nodded to the person sitting next to Long Yuankai, and then said to Long Yuankai helplessly. Yuruida acted as if he didn't see it, gave up his seat, and poured a cup of tea for Uncle He. Don't mention it, the tea at Uncle He's house is better than the tea outside. Am I a guest? We are brothers, and we are all members of the same family. Who could be more shameless than Long Yuankai? My parents only gave birth to me, and then I gave birth to several sons. Hians had never seen such a shameless person. Ha, that's not possible, I'm older than you. Long Yuankai continued with a smile, without any discomfort on his face. Tell me, you can come to my house no matter what. Do you really think that my house is your protective umbrella? Hians understood his thoughts more or less. There is nothing I can do. My former brother is still a little unwilling to give up. There is nothing he can do about it. Otherwise, people wouldn't be brought to his house. Come on, if you want to live a quiet life, I have a good place for you to go to. He can't stay at his house anymore, otherwise he is afraid that his house will be targeted by people sent from above. Is there such a good place? Then please congratulate me. Long Yuankai is really shameless. Okay, how many of you are there? Call me tomorrow and I will take you there. These people should be sent away. But you have to talk to the old men. Hians intends to provide a solid backing for Xiao, and the person should also be cultivated. Hearing this, Long Yuankai was very happy. Okay, everyone will be here tomorrow. It has been so long since they came to the mainland from Xiang Kingdom, and those brothers have been waiting impatiently. For those brothers who can follow him now, Long Yuankai has not done anything wrong to them, and has given them enough resettlement allowance. Some people want to bring their family members to the mainland, and he helps them find ways to relocate them. Hians didn't want to pay attention to this person, and he didn't know how to develop his face. He was even thicker than him. That's it, your people will get in the car tomorrow morning and I will take you away together. After giving the instructions, Hians went into the room to discuss the arrangements for these people with Mei Shui. Stop talking, I understand. Just go ahead. Xiangyang and the others are there at the company, so nothing big will happen, and nothing will happen here of course. Mei Shui heard their conversation outside. Honey, it's great to have you. Hians was still very happy with Mei Shui's consideration for him. However, there are many people going this time. We may have to find Sun Ming's friend by then, and I don't know if we can succeed. He couldn't let these people be nameless and statusless. At least I need to get an ID card, right? I don't need to go out now. What about later? Why don't you go to Mr. Sun's place later? Sun Ming is being taught by the old man all the time. The old man also knew where his end was. What he can do is to train the pillars of the Sun family. Well, I'll be there in a minute. Hians was so busy that he didn't come back until midnight. Because he is going back to Miao village tomorrow, he also wants to bring some things back to the people in the village. There are only a few people living in the village, but there are still some people there. I don't know what's going on with the village chief. There are also 3 elders from the Chong family, I think they should have made a breakthrough as well. He entered the space again in the middle of the night and took a lot of good things from Mei Shui. Hians left Kyoto with all the people brought by the Long family at dawn. Of course, their departure cannot be hidden from the people above. The people above were quite worried when they saw Hians picking up the people, fearing that a second Long family would appear in the mainland. Fortunately, Mr. Shi and the others were standing in front of them, which made many people afraid to speak. After number 3 stepped down, a new number 3 boss took over. This person was apparently the old number 3 boss, but privately he knew who he was better than anyone else. He objected at first, but after answering the phone, he fell silent. His behavior made Mr. Shi and the others look at each other and laugh. It seems that Xiaoxiu's girl's medicine really put her mind at ease. At least he will not interfere with the development of the He family in the short term. If the people at the top don't pursue it, the people at the bottom will definitely let it go. So 3 days later, Hians and a group of people came to your province to go through the formalities. The person who received them was not Sun Ming's friend. Maybe Mr. Sun had his own ideas and asked Sun Ming's friend to hide. Hians didn't think much about it, as long as the procedures were completed. The road into the village is still so difficult. Father Long did not come with him because of Long Ping's reasons, but Long Ruda is here, and he still has to take charge here. It is impossible for the Long family to occupy the territory of the former Miao village. They can only carve out their own land in the surrounding mountains. This matter has nothing to do with Hians. The village chief and the elders were very happy to see Hians arriving. There are only a dozen people left in the village now. The village has not been so lively for a long time. The old people were very happy to see so many people coming. Especially when Hians arrived, they all gathered around and started asking about the affairs of the juniors in his family. Hians also patiently told them about the situation of the Miao villagers outside, so that the old people in the village can rest assured. After they finished asking, the village chief took the people back to the middle of the mountain. The villagers helped Hians arrange these people first. Why did you bring so many people here this time? The village chief has also made a breakthrough now. Even if there is a gap between him and Hians, his spirit is much better than before. I want to build a world of ancient martial arts. I don't know if there are any ancient martial arts in this world, but I want to give my son a paradise. This son is talking about Xiao. Hearing his direct words, the village chief was stunned for a moment. Can the country be willing? We are neither harming the country nor the people, so the country has nothing to worry about. What he didn't say was that he was still hiding it from his superiors. Well, it's good if you think so. Peace in the world is not easy. It's best not to be broken because of you, otherwise the cause and effect will be too deep and it will be no good for you in the future, the village chief said for him. I know about this. Thank you to the village chief for reminding me. Hians was very grateful to people who were kind to him. I can't help it. As long as my eldest son has spiritual roots, I won't train an ancient martial artist. He was training well, but he didn't worry about the power that he couldn't control in his own hands. So he and Mei Shui discussed it and tampered with the exercises. This matter was also recognized by Xiaojian, who also contributed a book of exercises. But village chief, I think the martial arts skills in the village should be kept well. The Miao villagers have their own martial arts foundation. Hians doesn't want to force anything, but he doesn't want them to affect him either. Don't worry, I will tell Kongjin and the others about this. Since you are tempted to make a move, we should also take precautions. There are some things that we have to guard against. For the sake of one's own people, and also for the future generations of the family members. This is possible, but village chief, I plan to go further into the mountains and let those people live there in the future. As for the road, I will let them drive to the other side and not be connected to the village. What do you think? That night, Hians discussed many things with the village chief. After arranging everything, Hians asked Long Ruda to be in charge of the Long family. Those elderly people didn't come with them this time, so the person in charge here is Long Ruda. Hians stayed here for almost half a month. During this period, he also set up a large formation and planned the area for Long Ruda to develop under his own watch. Everything here has to be done by your own hands, so it is impossible to be like a modern city, where there are many high-rise buildings and mostly wooden houses. He also gave Long Ruda the exercises, 3 copies in total. Considering the differences between people, he took out 3 copies. Generally speaking, people here will find a way to practice martial arts that suits them. The next step is to look at Long Ruda himself. Fortunately, he doesn't have a girlfriend, otherwise he wouldn't be able to stay here. When Hians left, residential houses had been built in the mountains. After saying goodbye to the village chief, Hians left Ur province. This time he returned to Kyoto and started his simple life. Bama village has welcomed new residents, and Anyang has arranged for these people. Anyang has now become a big boss, but he prefers life in this village. Because life here is more comfortable, the couple discussed it and directly brought their parents-in-law over. It is just for them to take care of themselves in old age and to take care of the children at home. Father Long and others also settled here. The former head of the Long family, who had unlimited fame, has become a middle-aged and elderly man with a certain temperament in the countryside. Hians lamented this in front of him every day, asking why he never grew old. As soon as he said this, loud shouts and curses would erupt in the Long family courtyard. Hakuba village is becoming more and more lively, and the surrounding tourism is also becoming more and more prosperous, not to mention that Kyoto's famous green vegetable base is also here. In the past, the old villagers also raised livestock at home. Once you grow up, you basically have no chance to stay at home. They will all be taken away by those who come to travel. The scope of Bama village is also getting wider and wider. Of course, it is also the document above and below. It was a good thing anyway. Anyang immediately went to buy the land as soon as it was drawn wide. No matter how much he bought, he would never keep it. 2 years have passed in a flash. Xiao, who is far away in country M, has no idea how much his family has changed for him. But a lot has indeed happened in the past 2 years. For example, there is an extra life between him and. This is something neither of them expected. However, the two of them are still very happy about the arrival of this life. 2 years have allowed Xiao and Hidu to grow up. One becomes more elegant and the other becomes more valuable. Of course, apart from the happiness between the two of them, there is also the fact that the boy Long Si-yuan finally got the beauty back. The Zheng family knows a thing or two about the Long family's withdrawal from the Xiang kingdom. These things did not affect Long Si-yuan's development in Xiang kingdom. On the contrary, the development of the Long family was better because there was no longer him behind him. It can be said that Long Si-yuan became another Long family in Xiang kingdom. In response, the Zheng family happily agreed to the marriage between their daughter and Long Si-yuan. Zheng Xiang looked unhappy. She always felt that her parents didn't like her, so they agreed to marry her off. There were a lot of jokes at home about this. But the happiest thing was Long Si-yuan. He finally fulfilled his dream since childhood and married the girl he had always loved. The engagement of the two was not held in Xiongguo because none of Long Si-yuan's elders were in Xiongguo, so Long Si-yuan had one on each side. Long Si-yuan also got to know his family again because of the engagement. Otherwise, I'm afraid he doesn't know when he will know about his own affairs. When the 3 secret books were placed in front of him, he still looked unconvinced and felt that his elder brother was playing tricks on him. But after being taught a lesson by his elder brother, Long Si-yuan immediately carefully selected his own suitable secret book. After being selected, the first thing he asked was whether his girlfriend could learn from him. Of course Long Ruta did not agree, but he also accepted the pills given to him by the He family. They were not harmful to the body, but they could not betray Shuang. This thing is very suitable for Si Yuan's wife, so Long Ruta expressed her opinion. Long Si Yuan is not the kind of person who ignores his whole family for love. He sighed, "Brother, I'll ask Xiang about this. If she doesn't want to, I won't force her after all, it's the girl he loves, and he still wants her to stand on his side." But Long Si Yuan had too little confidence in Zheng Xiang. No, as soon as Zheng Xiang returned to their room, she jumped out immediately before Long Si Yuan could tell her. "I heard that your family has very powerful martial arts secrets, but to practice it you have to take your poison pills. Do you have any? Give it to me quickly." He stretched out his hands and was even more active than Long Si Yuan. Long Si Yuan was speechless. "Are you not crazy?" He was a little doubtful, stepped forward and touched Xiang's forehead. But Zheng Xiang was not joking with him. With a strong hand, he slapped his hand away. There was a snap that hurt. "You are crazy. I don't care. Now I am your fiancé. You have to give it to me, or I will break off the engagement with you at worst." She couldn't say the next words herself. As soon as he heard that the engagement was broken off, Long Si Yuan became angry and hugged her tightly. "Stop dreaming, you will never leave me in this life. The next thing is that it is not suitable for children." Early the next morning, Long Si Yuan got back the pills and secrets from his elder brother. Zheng Xiang had been worked hard last night, but when she heard Long Si Yuan say the word pill, she jumped out of bed. Nearly fell to the ground. Long Si Yuan hurriedly stepped forward to help the person. "Why are you so anxious? Can you run away from here?" Zheng Xiang didn't want to leave him, so she immediately grabbed his hand and opened it when she saw a box in her hand. The medicinal fragrance inside becomes more intense. Without saying a word, he swallowed it in one gulp. As soon as the pill enters the mouth, it turns into a medicinal force that disperses in the body, directly nourishing Zheng Xiang's body. What happened yesterday? Don't you all like reading this book? Or did the author do something wrong? What a great idea! The number of subscriptions actually dropped into 10 figures. This really chills the author. Wow, please subscribe and give it a try. Otherwise the author won't be able to afford food next month. Asking for recommendation votes, monthly votes, rewards, and subscriptions. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 536. Chapter 536, Surprise. The fatigue of last night was all dissipated at this moment. Zheng Xiang felt that she could still fight him for 300 rounds at this time. Fortunately, the secret books attracted her more, otherwise Long Si Yuan would not be able to get out of bed that day. The secret book also jumped to one that suited their liking, so the two settled down in the depths of the Long family. This stay lasts 3 months. Fortunately, Uncle Ji's uncle was still busy in Xiangguo, otherwise Long Si Yuan would have been scolded to death. Long Ruta has also gradually gained momentum as a family leader in the past 2 years. The ancient military force has just begun to take shape. In this happy day, the He family has another good news. That is the return of the He family's son who has been abroad for 3 years. This time he returned to China after completing his studies. Of course, what made the He family happy the most was that Hua's belly was bulging. Seeing them appear in front of her eyes, Mei Shui couldn't believe it. "What are you doing?" As soon as she opened the door, she saw Hua standing at the front. Her belly was not too obvious, and Mei Shui was confused. "Mom, we are back." When Hua saw her mother-in-law opening the door, she immediately fell into her arms. It frightened Xiao. Slow down, Mom won't run away." Xiao quickly pulled the person away and pulled him into his arms. Mixu also came back to her senses and stared straight at Hwa's belly. "You brat, what good have you done?" Regarding this matter, she didn't have the excitement of a normal mother-in-law, but she was angry with her son. The marriage has not yet been completed, but her belly has become pregnant. How can she explain this to her parents? Mei Shui felt very guilty whenever she thought of Hwa's parents. Xiao shook his head after being complained by his mother. He knew his parents too well, and he would definitely be very happy if this happened to other parents. But here, I'm afraid a beating is inevitable. Mom, please listen to me and explain to you. Xiao had no choice but to act pitiful first. Humph, you brat, you're done. He opened the door and let them into the yard first. Come in first, and I'll make sure your wife doesn't slap you later. These old ladies often complain about why there are no more people in the family, but that is to urge Xiao to get married. But now there are 2 more people in the family all of a sudden. Mei Shui stared at Hwa's belly for a long time, and saw the baby in her belly. To be honest, it looked like her own family, and she looked really good. Coming to the living room, Xiao sat down first, holding the flowers. "Leave the rest to me," he immediately comforted him to avoid overthinking. Hua Xian was really nervous at the time. No one was in the living room at this time, just the 2 of them and their angry mother-in-law. "Ah, these days have made you suffer. Why didn't you come back earlier and tell me? See if I don't beat him to death." She was very satisfied with Hua as her daughter-in-law. When Hua heard this, she felt a little embarrassed. "Mom," she called out shyly. "Okay, Mom doesn't ask, Mom doesn't ask, you are just too kind." Mei Shui saw her blushing and immediately closed her mouth. But she didn't pay any attention to Xiao's thoughts. She directly picked up the phone and called her old lady and husband. "That's right, come back quickly and see what good things your son has done." The daughter-in-law is still here, and she really doesn't want to curse. The old lady was more concise here. "Grandma, your great-grandson is back and brought you a surprise. Please come back quickly." The old lady went to the store when the weather happened, and it won't be long before she comes back. Listening to her mother's call, Xiao felt cold all over her body and looked pitifully, hoping that she would help him later. Hua was amused by this, and he kept saying on the way back that it would definitely be repaired this time, but she didn't believe it. Now seeing her mother-in-law's expression, she believed it. Shaked his head at Xiao, looking helpless. "I can't help you. You can't do this to me." Xiao immediately grimaced when she said she wouldn't help him. You must know that she asked for this child herself, and he did not want to have a child so early. He hasn't spent enough time with her yet. After hanging up the phone, Mei Shui sat down next to Hua. "Ah, why are you so stupid? Why are you pregnant with a child before you even get married?" She looked like a mother complaining. "Mom, this is an accident." Hua looked shy and embarrassed when she thought about what she had done. Mixu really has nothing to do with young people like them, but she wants to give Xiaopeng and the others some good advice. "Okay, Mom, I won't ask you anymore. Now that we have him, let's take good care of him. When he is well enough to give birth to him, your wife will be very happy." Mei Shui didn't want to be scared. But she still didn't plan to let her son go so easily. "I asked how old this child is. I usually talk about things like what I can hold in my mouth." Mei Shui just ignored Xiao anyway. This made Xiao even more uneasy. He was sitting on the sofa not far from the 2 of them. His clothes were soaked with sweat. Logically speaking, it would not be so hot for him today, but deep down he was afraid that his mother would be like this. It would be too scary. After chatting for about half an hour, the sound of the door opening was heard outside. Mixu knew who was back without going out to look. She glanced at Xiao and curled her lips. "Are you hungry? Mom, let's go make you something to eat. After eating, go and have a good rest and sleep. Mom and Dad are here if you need anything." They came home this time after returning home, and they were afraid that their in-laws would be there. Not convinced yet. Of course flowers are not interesting. Besides, she has good ears, so of course she knows someone is coming home. Okay, it's up to mom, but I'm not hungry now. Xiao took me to eat after getting off the plane. She was really not hungry, but she was a bit tired. That's it, let's go, mom will take you to the backyard. After saying this, Mei Shui stood up. Just as they were leaving the living room, they met Hians, who was about to come in. Dad, when she saw the person coming, Hua called out with embarrassment. Hians looked at the flowers and then at her belly. You're tired. Go back to the house with your mother and sleep for a while. Then I'll wake you up for dinner at night. To his daughter-in-law, Hians spoke in a very gentle tone. Xiao, who was following them, was covered in sweat, and his father's eyes were so scary. I know, Dad, Mom is going to the backyard with me. Here was their house after they got engaged, Xiao's house before. But Grandma, he combined the two rooms into one, so the space is much larger. By now Xiaopeng and the others had moved to another side courtyard. Hians nodded, made way for them to go first. Mei Shui smiled and said to Hians, be gentle and leave some for the old lady. She has been very bored recently. There were many voices saying this, and of course everyone heard it. They said they were not helping, but they were still worried in their hearts. Meixue noticed her worry and shook her head. It's okay. Your dad has something serious. He has to meet your parents in 2 days. Since my belly is so big, I have to give someone an explanation. When Hua was about to say something else, she was directly helped away by her mother-in-law. Xiao Yuleng DC. Hians glanced at him and smiled. You are really promising he is really a good son of his to make someone else's wife before he gets married. Dad, please listen to my explanation. I am not to blame for this matter. Xiao must let himself breathe first if he wants to live. Explain? Then why don't you tell me? Unless it's not your seed in the belly. Men know men so well. Xiao couldn't tell that he didn't take the initiative. Of course, he might not have taken the initiative at first, but later on, he never let her go. Dad, I was wrong. When Xiao heard this, he knew that his father was angry. A man should still be responsible. If he makes a mistake, he is wrong. But do your parents-in-law know, the biggest headache is his father-in-law? That person is really good at it? Xiao shook his head. Not yet. In fact, he was also afraid. It was not that he had not thought about going to Xiongguo, but when he thought of his father-in-law's attitude towards him, he had to bring him home first. It's a good thing you didn't go, otherwise you might not be able to come back. If his daughter had been bullied, he would have beaten her to death long ago. Wouldn't the family be able to raise a grandson? Dad, are you still my dad? Xiao is still very childish in front of his family. If I weren't your dad, do you think you could still be standing here talking to me? When the old lady came back, Hua had already fallen asleep, but the old lady still sneaked over and took a look. Looking at the haggard look on the face of the great-grandson-in-law, she felt heartbroken. Without saying a word, he took out her cane and whipped Xiao directly. Xiao didn't dare to run, so he was slapped more than 10 times by the old lady, and he could see blood. Mei Shui and Hian sat aside and watched, with no intention of stepping forward to help. It's good without refueling. You brat, are you using the wife I booked for you to ruin? The old lady was still very old-fashioned. She still couldn't accept this kind of pregnancy before marriage. How harmful this is to women. Tell me, why is there such a heartless person like you in my family? The old lady's mouth never stopped from the moment she was slapped. Now I have no words to cry, and all the heartless people have come out. Madam, I am not a heartless person. I am here to get married. Xiao knelt there and raised his head and said. Of course the old lady knew that what she just said was too much, but she refused to admit it even if she was wrong. Humph, if you don't come back, you will no longer be my child. After saying that, the old lady's anger was almost gone. She threw away the cane in her hand, sat down in front of the coffee table, picked up the tea and drank it. Call your parents-in-law right now and ask them to come over to discuss the marriage. We had already arranged a date before, but the two children had postponed their studies. It's good now. Getting married with a big belly will be really the child. It's all the children's fault. Okay, Grandma, just calm down. Let Xiao handle this matter by himself. If he does something wrong, he has to bear it himself. His father-in-law will teach him a lesson when the time comes. Mei Shui did not intend to take action. Anyway, there are more people taking action. Xiao felt pain all over his body when he heard his mother's words. How did he meet such a father-in-law and brother-in-law? Everyone looks at him less favorably than the others, and the only one who is better is his mother-in-law. But in this situation, I am afraid that her mother-in-law will not help him, right? Xiao didn't call the parents of the Hua family who were far away in Xiongguo on this day, and many things had to be done the next day. If you call Hua's family at this time, what will you do if people come over in the middle of the night? So, let's talk about it tomorrow. When Xiaopeng and the others came back, they saw their eldest brother sitting at home. Each one was happy, and they all rushed towards him. Brother! Don't come over here, don't come over here. Xiao heard the sound and immediately stopped him. Don't come over here. Poor, he spoke too late, or Xiaopeng and the others moved too quickly. Suddenly, the two of them jumped directly on Xiao, making him scream in pain. This cry almost scared Xiaopeng and Xiaocheng, who fell on him to death. Brother, what's wrong with you? Xiaopeng immediately let go of his elder brother, looking up and down. The same goes for Xiaocheng. Brother, are you injured? After looking at each other, the two of them looked at each other and immediately took 3 steps back. Brother, tell me the truth, why did you offend your wife? What Xiaocheng fears most is the stick in his wife's hand. It hurts when it is picked up. Xiaopeng is similar. He was beaten too much when he was a child, and his memory is fresh. Brother, we have to admit what we did wrong, but we can't let my wife get angry. My parents and mixed doubles will not be a joke when the time comes. Since no one in the family was able to resist thunder, the two of them had been beaten frequently. Fortunately, Xiao Yu entered the house, otherwise it would have been worse. You guys, what are you talking about? Will the eldest brother do something wrong? Xiao rolled his eyes at the two younger brothers in anger. He also saw Xiao Yu beside him and immediately greeted her. Hello, Xiao Yu. Hello, brother, is sister-in-law back? Xiao Yu is not very familiar with this elder brother, but is more familiar with her sister-in-law. On weekdays, the two of them would make phone calls and send messages. We're back, but we came back a little late. Your sister-in-law is still sleeping at this time. Xiao smiled at his siblings even though he was afraid of hurting them again. Oh, I'll go back to my room to do my homework first. After saying that, Xiao Yu took her school bag and returned to her room. As soon as Xiao Yu left, the 3 brothers immediately started plotting. Brother, tell me honestly, what did you do to get beaten like this by your wife? My wife rarely hits anyone these days, unless she does something outrageous. They had to wonder if their eldest brother had done something bad. What are you talking about? Xiao couldn't say the rest of his words. Grandma he happened to come out and heard the conversation between the 3 brothers. She immediately gave Xiao a roll of her eyes and said, if you have the guts to tell your brothers about your scandalous things, it will help them learn from it. The old lady was angry. It's big. Madam, I was wrong. I was really wrong. I will never dare to do it again. Xiao really realized his mistake this time. Next time, I will kill you if I decide to do so. Can this brat know how to speak? The vote is up. Thank you all for your monthly votes and recommendation votes. I love you and express my heart to you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 537. Chapter 537, Marriage. Xiaopeng and Xiaocheng were confused and stared at their elder brother with bright eyes. However, Xiao didn't dare to tell those things about himself in the end. Anyway, they would see it when they came out later, so there was no need for him to say anything. It's very embarrassing. During dinner, the family sat neatly at the table. The most curious thing is the flower's belly. The three little ones surrounded the flower one by one. Sister-in-law, can he move now? Xiaocheng loved this little nephew very much. Sister-in-law, is it a boy or a girl? Xiaopeng has always wanted a sister, but there are only 3 boys in the family, and his mother refuses to have a baby, so his hopes have always been in vain. It's okay now, the eldest brother is capable, and the eldest sister-in-law is pregnant, maybe a niece. I don't know, we didn't ask. Hua touched her belly lovingly. I like whether it's a boy or a girl. Well, then sister-in-law, you should have a daughter. Our family is short of daughters. Xiaocheng had an upright temperament. After hearing that he liked everything his sister-in-law said, he immediately started to scream. Oh, you are overthinking. Your sister-in-law is carrying a boy. She wants a daughter, so give birth to her yourself. Mei Shui glared at the 3 of them angrily. Hurry up and eat, or you'll starve. Your sister-in-law. Mei Shui picked up some vegetables and put them in a flour bowl. Eat quickly and ignore them. They firmly believed in their mother's words. When they heard it was a boy, everyone's faces looked very disappointed. This makes Hua very confused. Xiao explained to her on the side, my family has always wanted a daughter, but my father didn't want my mother to suffer and had a sterilization. So, a daughter became the family's dream. Because Xiao was far away from Hua, his words were heard by everyone. Without saying a word, Hians hit Xiao on the head directly. You brat, if you don't speak, no one will think you are mute. If you want a sister, just dream. It's fine now. You can give birth to her on your own. Snored. You dare to show off your ugliness in front of your daughter-in-law and get beaten. Grandma He's face was full of joy. It's okay, don't think too much, it's good to have a boy or a girl, there aren't that many things to pay attention to at home. As soon as the old lady spoke, everyone stopped talking about it. At this point, Xiaopeng glanced at Xiaoyu a few more times. Because they have now embarked on the path of cultivation, childbirth is also more difficult than others. It's okay if your cultivation level is low now, but when your cultivation level is high, it will be even more difficult to have children. Xiaopeng calculated his own age and waited 2 years. When they reached adulthood, he and Xiaoyu would have a child, and they would definitely have a daughter. Hua looked confused. She didn't know why her family thought the baby in her belly would be a boy, but she didn't ask any more questions. Anyway, as long as everyone in the family likes the birth of a boy or a girl, that's fine. Everyone was very happy after the meal. Hua slept for too long during the day and could not sleep at night. After meeting, Mei Shui took out the photos of Xiao and the 3 of them when they were young. You haven't seen the photos of Xiao and him when they were young, right? He and Hians were always very busy when the children were young, but they did not ignore their growth. They took souvenirs for them every time they grew up. Hua came over with great interest. I haven't seen it. Pregnant people are inherently lethargic, and Hua is now 4 or 5 months old. The baby's fetal movements are so severe that she doesn't always get a good rest. After looking at the photos and chatting with my mother-in-law, she felt a little tired. Mei Shui sent Xiao and others to go back to the house to rest first, and then discuss their marriage with her in-laws tomorrow. The next day, Hians went to the company. The foreign trade business has been very good recently. It was a bit difficult for Tai Lai to keep an eye on it alone. He had to help complete the business together. So I went to the company early in the morning. Xiao got up early. He was a little worried and scared, but he also knew that it was his fault. After breakfast, he immediately dialed the number of Huafu who was far away in Xiangguo. "Dad, this is Xiao." As soon as the call came through, Xiao sat up straight. Hua's father was on his way to work when he saw a familiar number and thought it was his in-laws. "I didn't expect it to be Xiao. But when did you come back?" This number was from Kyoto. He used this number to call himself, which proved that he was back. "What about your daughter? It seems that they graduated this year, but I didn't hear them say they were coming back when I called last month." "Dad, there is something I want to tell you." Xiao was so nervous that his palms became sweaty. "What's the matter?" Hua's father didn't dislike his son-in-law, but he loved his daughter more than his own daughter. "Did something happen?" he immediately asked with a thump in his heart. Xiao quickly denied it and said, No, it's okay. She's fine." Because of fear, Xiao became a little nervous when he spoke. "Dad, I want to get married to you. I would like to ask when you are free. Let's discuss the marriage together." Xiao took a deep breath and immediately stated his purpose. "Come on, brat, has something happened? Why are you discussing marriage with me at this time? Who is Hua's father?" Hearing Xiao's tone, he knew that things were not that simple. "Dad. Don't call me dad, okay? Let me answer the phone." Hua's father immediately asked the driver to stop the car on the side of the road. Compared to Xiao, Huafu is not much more relaxed than him. Xiao saw that he couldn't hide it, so he directly told the truth. "Dad, I'm pregnant and I want to marry her." This makes a father angry after hearing this. "You brat, what did you say? If you can, say something again. I think you deserve a beating. What does it mean to be pregnant? Do you want to get married? This matter is not over yet." After finishing speaking, Hua's father immediately said to the driver, "Book a ticket for me to Kyoto immediately. I want the fastest one." After saying that, he asked the driver to turn around and go home. Along the way, Hua's father scolded Xiao on the phone, saying that he was not a human being and actually made his daughter's belly bigger. Xiao would not fight back even if he was hit or scolded. After listening to the yelling and cursing for almost an hour, the person on the other end hung up the phone. Mei Shui looked at her son's nervous expression and smiled unkindly. "Yeah, I don't know if you should be considerate of what you do. This kid deserves a beating." Grandma, he felt sorry for her great-grandson. "Don't be afraid, it's just a beating. You won't lose a piece of meat." But she might as well not say this. With the arrival of the Hua family's parents settled, Xiao hurriedly tidied up and had to pick up people later. Mei Shui did not go with him. He is an adult and has to bear some things by himself. She had to go out and buy some groceries and come back. There were distinguished guests at home tonight. By the time Father Hua and the others arrived, it was almost noon. When Xiao picked him up, he obviously found bruises on his face. It is conceivable that Father Hua's attacks are serious. Of course Mei Shui and Grandma he saw it. It's not that they don't feel sorry for their child, but that he should. "My dear, you've had a hard journey along the way, come and sit down and have a cup of tea." Grandma he said with a smile. Grandma he is an elder, and no matter how much resentment Hua father has, he cannot vent it on the old man. "Thank you, Grandma." Hua's father and Hua's mother responded very politely. After coming to the living room and sitting down, Huamu became anxious. "Xiaoxiu, why didn't you see it? Did something happen to her?" She thought a lot along the way. "I'm just afraid that something might happen to my daughter." "Sister Ning, what are you thinking about?" "That's fine, but she didn't get a good rest last night. After breakfast, I asked her to go back to the house to sleep." Mei Suejia was good at reading people's faces and immediately understood the worry in Huamu's eyes. "You, don't think too much. It's better, but the child in your belly is a little noisy. It's been 5 months, and the child is growing up and is very noisy." Upon hearing this, Hwamu breathed a sigh of relief and said, "That's good, that's good." She was frightened to death. "Don't worry, as long as I'm here, why don't you worry about not being able to make it up," Mei Shui said happily. "Hey, why did these two children come back with such a big belly? It really scares me to death." Mother Hua glared at Xiao angrily again. "But after seeing the bruises on his face, I felt a little more balanced." "No, his father and I scolded him yesterday, but it's already like this. It's useless for us to beat and scold the child again. No, let's think about asking them to get married. We can't wait until the child is born." "Do it? This is not a good pair." "That's the truth, but her father is very angry." "Xiao, does it hurt?" Hua's mother also felt sorry for her son-in-law at this time. When Xiao heard his mother-in-law's question, he immediately sat up straight and said, "Mom, it doesn't hurt." "Did he dare to say it hurt?" "Humph, this is light," Father Hua said without any anger. Everyone understands his anger. Finally got up after noon, and when she saw her parents, she burst into tears. Either she felt aggrieved, but the worry and fear during this period made her feel particularly uncomfortable. Seeing him cry, Xiao felt even more uncomfortable. Why didn't he know to come back earlier? Why do you have to suffer so much for a diploma? The flowers cried, the mother of flowers cried, and Grandma He also cried beside her. Fortunately, after crying for about 10 minutes, everyone's mood calmed down. Crying won't solve the problem. The most important thing now is to get their marriage done. Because of the pregnancy, it cannot be done at the same time as the engagement, so this time everyone decided to have a big one in Kyoto. Happy Father has no opinion on this. For Hong Kong, the mainland is now a very good place for development, and friends in the business field are also willing to come to the mainland to take a look. With the addition of the Long family's second boy's herbal medicine shop, everyone is even more curious about the Kyoto main store. Because of my stomach problems, the wedding was scheduled for next Saturday. It was quite a hurry, but given the status of the two families, it was easy to be in a good mood. The venue for the banquet was the Intercontinental Hotel. All the drinks are from Bodhi Winery. It can be said that this wedding is unique in Kyoto. No, it can be said to be unique in the world. The young master of the He family is getting married, so of course the supplies are the best. For this reason, Qian Xiang rushed back from other places and personally arranged the wedding for the two juniors. As soon as the news of the marriage of the eldest son of the He family was released, Kyoto was shocked. Even the retired number 3 boss, who was busy recruiting people, asked people to come over and ask if they could help. Not to mention the people under him, all of them are very attentive. Not to mention the 5 of them, Mr. Shi, moved directly into the He family. The name is, help make plans together. Actually, it's not just for eating and drinking. The arrival of several old men made Hua's father very happy. The Shi family was his brother-in-law's family and also his in-laws. Everyone gets closer to each other, and Shi Weikan is here, and he also has someone to discuss it with. The betrothal gifts given by Mei Shui and He Ans to Hua are also rare. There is no shortage of ordinary money-loving people. Of course, they are not stingy either. They have all the scenes they should have. In private, he also gave out high-quality antique calligraphy and paintings as betrothal gifts. Most importantly, Mei Shui gave Hua's father and mother Hua a millennium ginseng root and asked them to keep it themselves, just in case. Happy father and mother are very grateful for this. Everyone knows how good the He family's products are. 1,000-year-old ginseng is something that can be found but cannot be found. He Xiu's wedding was very lively, and he himself invited many classmates and friends to come. In addition, He Ans wanted him to take over the company, so he was the busiest person on the day of the wedding. It takes me a long time to get to know someone. Because Hua's belly was too big, they didn't wear Chinese clothes. The entire wedding was a Western-style wedding. Only the big wedding dress could cover up her protruding belly. I was escorted by several old ladies throughout the whole journey. Those who wanted to propose a toast also weighed it carefully and did not dare to be presumptuous. The wedding day was busy until late at night, and then all the guests were sent away. Because Hua was pregnant, Mei Shui and the others placed Xiao's new house directly in the He family courtyard. According to her original intention, Mei Shui wanted the children to go out and live on their own, so that they would be more comfortable. There is nothing we can do now, at least they have to live here until the baby is born. But the houses outside have also been prepared for them. Just wait for them to decorate it later. On the fourth day after Xiao's wedding, Hian started dragging Xiao to the company. Because he was well prepared, Hian's consolidated his family's assets. From childhood to adulthood, let Xiao take over little by little. Mei Shui was even more relaxed and handed everything over to Hian's. Now she takes care of him at home every day. Hua's father returned to Xiongguo after they got married, and Hua's mother stayed. At this time, I have to praise the He family's courtyard. This courtyard with 3 entrances and 3 exits is really useful. It is certainly incomparable to those royal palaces, but at least it can be a place where people from my family can live. Drink this soup quickly, don't worry, you won't gain weight. Mei Shui's biggest hobby now is to make soup. The flour tastes great when I first drink it. But after drinking it for a few days, she realized that these soups were made from medicinal foods. I also know that my mother-in-law is replenishing herself and her children. Mom, I'm not fat, but my belly is getting bigger and bigger these days. Hua smiled and took the soup handed over by her mother-in-law. That's normal. Now is the time for the child to grow. It's normal to grow. Mei Shui looked at her increasingly protruding belly and smiled. Huamu also had a loving face, but she didn't expect that she would become a grandmother. I forgot the time again, I really surrendered to myself. Please vote and subscribe, thank you dears. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 538. Chapter 538, Accident. Grandma didn't make it, so she became a grandma first. You, just listen to your mother, drink it quickly, she can still hurt you. After saying that, Huamu handed over the spoon. Mom, what are you talking about, how could my mother harm me, Hua said shyly. Hurry up and drink. After you finish drinking, go to the hospital for a walk. Shouldn't it be time to go to the hospital for a checkup in 2 days? Hua's mother stayed here to accompany her daughter during the birth. She knew it was still early to give birth, but she just didn't feel relieved. Well, the day after tomorrow Hua is full of expectations for the child in her belly. Not only is she looking forward to it, but both the He family and the Hua family are also looking forward to the arrival of this child. In the Hua family, he is the first grandchild, in the He family, he is the first great-great-grandchild. This child can be said to have arrived with the expectations of both families. With Mei Shui's care, Hua's sallow complexion due to pregnancy has been greatly improved. Not only that, it also makes her more radiant than ordinary pregnant women. Such a big change, even Ms. Ning, who is a biological mother, is very grateful to Mei Shui. There is happiness here, and there is also happiness happening in Ankan on the other side. Because he and Zhou Shuang are one step closer. It is also a mistake. However, both of them are happy about this oolong. That's right, it's a plot. At a business gathering, and Chen was tricked. He himself couldn't figure out what he had to do. He had no money, no power, and no power. Calculate what he can get? The wines he took over were not high-end wines, but common wines. He was only a part-time worker, to the outside world, because of the money. He was really not the outstanding one at that cocktail party. I don't know what those people are plotting against him. Fortunately, he recently wanted to take his girlfriend out to meet people, but her best friend had something to do that day, so she didn't go. However, Cheng had been tortured by his sister-in-law since he was a child, so it was easy for him to notice something was wrong with the changes in his body. He called Zhou Shuang immediately. Zhou Shuang has a bold temper. As soon as she heard that something happened to Cheng, she rushed over immediately. No matter how others tried to stop her, she took her boyfriend out of the reception. Let those who plot come to nothing. What he didn't expect was that those who plotted against him used the most despicable means of drugging him. No, it ended up being a good thing for both of them. I don't know if it was because of the effect of the medicine, Cheng treated Zhou Shuang like crazy that night, and made her lie in bed for 3 days. For 3 days, the two of them did not dare to go home, for fear that his mother would think too much. Zhou Shuang went from being embarrassed at the beginning to slowly accepting his advances. The two of them had a very sweet time in the past 3 days. Because he was looking for a girlfriend, he left the work matters directly to An Liang. Of course An Liang had no problem with it. After hearing him say he was spending time with his girlfriend, he would be merciless when he chased her away. After Zhou Shuang got better, the two of them dared to go home. Once he got home, Cheng felt empty, lonely, and cold. Where he was, he used despicable means to get into his wife's door in the middle of the night. The change between the two of them happened the next day when Aunt Lanhua asked them to get up for breakfast. But she didn't say anything, but the smile on her face couldn't stop. The most embarrassing person is Zhou Shuang. But the prospective mother-in-law was really too kind to her and let her indulge in it. Aunt Lan, I haven't found a job yet, so don't get up early in the morning. I'll make breakfast, Zhou Shuang said with a distressed look on his face as he watched Aunt Lan walking in and out of the kitchen. Aunt Lanhua was very happy after hearing this. No, you young people are too heavy-handed, and breakfast is not a big deal. I'm old and can't sleep in the morning. Besides, it's just breakfast for the 3 of us, so it's not a big deal. When I was in the countryside, I had to get up every morning to feed the pigs and chickens, which was no big deal. And Cheng pulled the phone and said happily, listen to me, he just couldn't take any time off. Once he was free, they would be the ones who suffered. Just listen to me. And Cheng's family had a very happy breakfast. And Cheng really doesn't want to go to work, but he can't stay at home all the time. When his sister-in-law finds out, she won't scold him to death. Leaving Wenwen Township is very painful. Looking at his funny look, Zhou Shuang smiled unkindly and said sincerely, if your boss knew you were like this, I wonder if he would still hire you. Aunt Lanhua smiled and said nothing. But she had to go find her third aunt, and some things had to be arranged. You can't wait until your belly gets bigger before doing anything like that. She listened to it yesterday and found that there was a lot of movement between the two of them. She was afraid that her grandson had already arrived. Being more excited than taking action, Aunt Lanhua tidied up the house and then told Shuang to go out. Zhou Shuang has been really tired these past few days, and the man who just started eating meat is a little overwhelmed. She sometimes wonders if it is for this reason that in ancient times there were so many wives looking for concubines for their men. Aunt Lanhua knew the time of the third aunt and looked at the time. At this time, the third aunt was still at home. Without saying a word, she got into the car and went straight to the He family compound. Mei Shui was a little surprised when she opened the door and saw someone coming. After An Cheng got a girlfriend, Aunt Lanhua hadn't been here for a long time. Why is Aunt Lanhua here today? Mei Shui opened the door and asked with a smile. Xiaoxiu, I'm here to see third aunt. Is third aunt at home? Knowing that there was a pregnant woman at home, Aunt Lanhua spoke very softly. I'm at home, talking to my in-laws. Mei Shui smiled and stepped aside. Have you had breakfast? Their family didn't have breakfast that early, and everyone got up casually. Eat when you get up, and stay later if you can't get up. Anyway, all the food at home is hot in the pot. Eat, eat, I'll find the third aunt first. Aunt Lanhua was like the wind, blowing into the living room in no time. Third aunt, the voice came in before the person arrived. This made Grandma He, who was talking to her mother, stunned for a moment. Why is she coming here at this time? She was very confused. Lanhua, why are you here? Did something happen at home? Grandma He asked with a worried look on her face as she ran in. No, no, third aunt, what are you thinking about? The family is fine. Aunt Lanhua felt soft in her heart. Third aunt was always like this, hard-spoken but soft-hearted. Okay, why are you yelling? If you fall asleep, I won't skin you. Well, the third aunt is online. My fault, I wasn't happy about this, I forgot about it all of a sudden, Aunt Lanhua said with an embarrassed look. Hearing this, Huamu became happy and said, don't listen to my in-laws' nonsense. The yard is at the back. How can you hear it? With the participation of Huamu, Grandma He also put away the angry look on her face. Okay, it's so early in the morning, what are you doing here? Third aunt, it's a good thing. That boy in Cheng has finally found a wife. Please help me think of a solution. What should I do about this? So Aunt Lanhua completely betrayed in Cheng and the others. This made Huamu, who was listening on the side, dumbfounded, but she was also happy for the girl to find such a good in-law. What's so difficult about this? Just let the girl marry out of our family. Besides, young people now don't necessarily have wine at home, they all do it in the hotel. After hearing this, Grandma He looked nonchalant. Road. But what if we have a wine shop in the village? Aunt Lanhua was mainly hurt by listening to the long-mouthed women in the village. What's so difficult about this? They don't plan to live in the village anyway. Besides, everyone has come to Kyoto now. Is your family short of that little money? Why don't you let Jinnan come too? If it had been before, the third aunt would have. I definitely won't say this. But things are different now. The Zhengting family and the Jinkei family have all moved here, and there are not many familiar people left in the village. Besides, it's not a problem if the children are not around, so we can be together as long as we can. And Cheng is also a man who is successful. When and the others bought a house, he had already prepared a house for his parents. It would be great if several families could all live in a community, and they could visit each other from time to time. That's what I thought. Anken has never been married. Now he's fine. He's finally married, and his father and I can rest assured the biggest wish of a parent is for his children to live a good life. Well, don't go back to the village for the engagement. Let's have one in Kyoto. If you're afraid that the girl will think too much about it, just keep it simple and just have a meal with your family. After hearing about Zhou Shuang's life experience, Grandma He also felt very happy. She thought about it. That girl is really distressing. Everyone happens to be here, why don't you inform them first? They will go back later, and they will come back after An Cheng gets engaged. When Xiao got married, several of his sweethearts came to Kyoto. Now there is no rush to return to the village, and this is the best time for Anken to get engaged. Then the village won't do anything about it. Aunt Lanhua is a strong person and cannot let her daughter-in-law be embarrassed in front of the villagers. Are those people in the village important? Grandma He rolled her eyes at her. Wouldn't it be the same to bring them some candies when you go back? Those people all hate poverty. You don't want to see others doing well. No matter how good you are, others still don't have to say it. And your mother-in-law, I heard her health is not good, right? She deserves to die after all these years. After knowing what happened that year, Grandma He disliked her sisters-in-law. Well, that's why I want An Cheng and the others to get married this year. After all, it's his grandma. Speaking of that person, Aunt Lanhua put away the smile on her face. That's right, we can't let the old man cause trouble. It just so happens that the engagement will only last for a few days. Then you can discuss the marriage with Jinnan when you go back. The wedding will also be held in Kyoto. Your family is different. When Zhennan arrives, Cheng, Zhenbei, Zhennan, and Zhendong are three brothers. That troublesome mother-in-law lives in the town's Zhendong's house, and I'm afraid she doesn't have much time left. Okay, I'm afraid the elder brother will come over and Lanhua doesn't like the elder brother's family very much. Come here, why don't you still need a rent payment? Grandma, he tapped Aunt Lanhua's forehead angrily. You are not as tough as an Yang, otherwise you wouldn't have been caught. After talking about some family matters, the engagement was decided by Grandma He. As soon as this happened, Aunt Lanhua called her man and asked him to come to Kyoto today. Let Aunt Meng's family help take care of things at home. The next time she goes back, she plans to clear out the poultry and vegetable fields in her hometown. From now on, she will take good care of her grandson in Kyoto. After Aunt Lanhua left, Grandma He heard the sound. And Chinsi didn't know that in the morning, he and the cool things were done by his mother. At night, when An Cheng came back, he saw his father sitting on the sofa and Shuang helping his mother cook in the kitchen. Dad, why are you here? An Cheng was very happy to see his father. He always told them not to be so tired and come to live with him in Kyoto, but Dad just couldn't let go of his work at home and was always reluctant to come. I'm back, I just arrived today. If his wife Kui hadn't been so anxious, he would still have a lot of things to do at home. Let's stay longer this time. And Cheng was very happy to put down his briefcase and sit next to his father. Let's have 2 drinks tonight. You have to ask your mother about this. Your mother doesn't let me drink lately. He was also greedy when it came to wine, but his wife wouldn't let her, and he missed it very much. It's okay, I'm happy today, let's drink less. He was also afraid of his mother. Just at this time, Aunt Lanhua came out from the kitchen carrying dishes. If you want to drink, no problem, you can drink as much as you want today, she said to the father and son with a smile. Hearing this, both father and son looked at her in surprise. Really, they both said in unison. Anken's drinking capacity is of course no problem. If he hadn't been tricked last time, he wouldn't have gotten drunk after a drinking party. Really, I can't get enough of you, but just clean up after yourself after drinking. I don't like cleaning up after drinking. No problem. The father and son were excited. Zhou Shuang was confused when he came out. Is he so happy after drinking? But she didn't ask any more questions. She likes the atmosphere of this home very much, it makes her very warm. Aunt Lan, Uncle said we've eaten after the last dish was served. Zhou Shuang called to the people on the sofa. Hey, I'll be here soon. And Cheng jumped up from the sofa, opened the wine cabinet, and started to choose wine. Zhennan was happy when he saw it. You brat, bring out the wine made by your sister-in-law. It's been a long time since your father and I drank the wine made by Zioxu. I missed it so much. And Cheng's hand shook and he regretted a little. Dad, there isn't much wine left. How about we drink something else? And Cheng wanted to struggle. You brat, what did you say? Say it again if you dare. Yes, he didn't dare. Haha, Dad, isn't it because I'm afraid that I won't have enough wine to enjoy myself? And Cheng is now a cunning old man. Then I'll drink alone, and you can drink the rest by yourself. Zhennan was not that easy to dismiss. Enough, this wine is enough. He didn't want to miss the wine made by his sister-in-law. It seemed that he would have to let his sister-in-law make more wine at some point. At the dinner table, after the father and son had almost finished drinking, Aunt Lanhua put down the bowl. Let me tell you something, because she didn't have time to tell her husband about Zhou Shuang's matter, but it wasn't important. What? I forgot to set the time last night. When I woke up in the morning, I found that I had not updated. It is really a sin. I'm sorry everyone. Please give me a vote. Thanks for your support. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 539. Chapter 539, finally completed. What's the matter? wife, He Jiannan was very happy after drinking some wine. And Cheng also had a confused look on his face. He glanced at Shuang, and after seeing her shaking her head, he also looked at his mother. "Mom, what's the matter? It's like this. I plan to get engaged to you and Shuang in the next few days. As you know, your Aunt Milian and the others happen to be in Kyoto. Now there are more people engaged, so there is no need to trouble them to make a trip." Aunt Lanhua told An Cheng what she had discussed with Grandma He. Of course, she didn't forget to ask Shuang for her opinion. "Shuang, what do you think?" When asking this question, Aunt Lanhua became nervous for the first time. Shuang was confused. Is this why Aunt Lan went out today? She was a little confused. Seeing that she didn't speak, Aunt Lanhua became anxious. Shuang, it's not that Aunt Lan doesn't respect you and didn't ask your opinion first. You may not understand our family's situation very well, so she talked about her family's situation again. Origin comes. After Shuang listened, he also understood the importance of Grandma He. In the past, I only knew that she arranged blind dates for my uncle, but I didn't expect that this was actually the case. Aunt Lan, that's not what I meant. I have no objection to the engagement, but do you really not mind the situation at home? She was very concerned about this. Sometimes when she thinks about the relationship between her and her uncle, she always feels that it is not very realistic. She knew very well what her situation was, and just because she knew it, she felt that she was not worthy of him. After listening to what she said, An Cheng held her hand tightly. Shuang, don't think about it. Our family is not the kind of family that clings to power. I like you very much. No, because I should say that you are I love you. I don't know when I fell in love with you. Hianken was also the first person to confess his love in front of his parents. However, his behavior made Aunt Lanhua and He Jiannan very satisfied. They watched silently and made no sound. I don't want to put pressure on Shuang. It is true that they are from rural areas, but over the years, after getting in touch with them more, they are also very considerate of others. Uncle Shuang cried after hearing An Cheng's words. That's not what I meant. I always feel that I am not worthy of you, of you. Seeing her so worried, An Cheng felt very sad because he ignored her feelings. What are you talking about? Aunt Lanhua was unhappy. Shuang, why are you worried about this? If you are really worried, how about we recognize you as our goddaughter and kick An Cheng out of the house? Of course, this was a joke, just to appease Shuang, but Aunt Lanhua's words also proved her position in the hearts of their family. Mom, am I still your biological child? An Cheng felt like he was picked up since he was a child. No, I picked it up from the mountains behind. It was not Aunt Lanhua who spoke this time, but the talkative He Jiannan. After finishing speaking, he did not forget to mutter to his wife, if I had known that he was so virtuous, we might as well not have had the baby, and you wouldn't have suffered such a big sin. Okay, it was a whisper, but the voice was not quiet, and everyone in the living room heard it. Shuang couldn't help laughing anymore. So, you are so disliked by Uncle and Aunt Lan. Shuang felt very happy, and the sadness he felt just now dissipated quickly. You still have the nerve to say that it's not all you. Look, they don't want me anymore. And Jinna felt aggrieved. It's okay, I want you from now on. The two of them loved each other for a while. The engagement was finally settled. Aunt Lanhua went to He's house with He Jiannan and Shuang the next day. As soon as he arrived at He's house, Shuang was dumbfounded. The He family actually lives here. You know, this is the home of either an official or a wealthy person. Can she still have such a big yard? Don't be nervous, your third grandma is the best to get along with. Seeing Shuang being nervous, Aunt Lanhua took her hand and whispered to her. How could Shuang be comforted? Aunt Lan. It's okay, it's okay. I woke up very early today, and I actually got up to have breakfast with everyone. No, after eating, she was walking around in the courtyard. When she heard someone calling the door, she ran over and opened the door. As soon as the door opened, Hua laughed, "Aunt Lan, Uncle Jinnan." "Oh, yes, why did you get up so early today? Where are your mother and the others? Why aren't they with you?" Aunt Lan Hua saw someone coming to open the door and immediately stepped forward to help her. That belly really changes every day. Zhou Shuang was also a discerning person and stepped forward to help. "Grandma Lan, Grandpa Jinnan," she called to the two of them with a happy face, "I'm fine. The doctor asked me to move more." She finally made up for what she had been lacking before, and now she is in good health. "This must be Uncle and Cheng's girlfriend, she's so beautiful." Hua looked at Zhou Shuang who was supporting her, and immediately smiled and joked. "No, and Cheng's girlfriend is pretty, haha, my house is very beautiful." And Lan Hua is not modest at all. "Well, it's beautiful." Uncle and Cheng has a good vision, he agreed very much. Aunt Lan, no matter how straightforward Zhou Shuang is, she is also a girl, how can she not be shy? Okay, okay, let's not talk about it anymore, just let your family know about our beauty." While joking, he walked towards the hall. When I arrived, I saw an old man sitting in the main hall. He had white hair, but he was very energetic. She looks like a healthy old lady at first glance. Zhou Shuang became nervous again, and her hands tightened unnaturally. This was noticed by Hua. Hand held her hand. "Don't be afraid, my wife is easy to talk to." Because she and Cheng were a generation apart, Hua directly regarded Zhou Shuang as her elder. This was also noticed by Aunt Lan Hua and He Jinnan, and they looked at each other and smiled. They knew that Shuang was a good girl and could be liked by the third aunt's family. This is the daughter-in-law of Cheng's family. She is really upright, but Cheng is a bit unworthy of her. As soon as she saw someone, Grandma He's bad mouth came back again. "Grandma, don't make fun of other girls, don't scare people." Hua Mu stood up and stopped Grandma He and said with a smile, "How is it possible? It's not good to be so timid. You have to practice." As if she was really dissatisfied, Grandma He stood up, came to Zhou Shuang, and looked around her. She laughed after reading it. The little girl has clear eyes and straight facial features. She is good at first glance. Also, her is big enough. She will definitely be able to give birth to a daughter in the future. This is an old habit of Grandma He. She always likes to look at someone like this. When Shiwa looked embarrassed, she looked like Zhou Shuang. "I'm sorry, that's just the way my wife is." She didn't mean any harm, she was afraid that Zhou Shuang would think too much. Zhou Shuang shook her head. She was really embarrassed, but there was no need to argue with an old man. Besides, she didn't say that she was not good. People should be content. "Okay, come and sit down quickly. Xiaoxiu is still in the kitchen. I'll ask her to go." Mother Hua came over and helped her daughter sit down and said to everyone. Of course, Mei Xue knew about the visitor at home, but she was preparing lunch at this time and didn't have time. The more Grandma He looked at her, the more satisfied she became. "This girl is really nice. Little girl, she would be my great-granddaughter. This is the first person Grandma He likes and wants to take home." Hearing her words, Aunt Lan Hua and others were shocked. "Third aunt, are you serious?" Aunt Lan Hua said happily. But He Jinnan was different. He was happy, but he knew that if Shuang became the great-grandson of the third aunt's family, then he and Ankan would definitely not be together. "What are you talking about? Third aunt is just joking." He Jinnan immediately stopped Lan Hua and said. Aunt Lan Hua may not have reacted for a while, but Hua understood clearly. "That's right, Aunt Lan, this is wrong. If Shuang becomes our sister, how can we get married to Uncle and Cheng?" It seems that this was also said to Zhou Shuang. Zhou Shuang didn't seem to understand these seniorities at this time, and she looked confused, but she really hadn't thought about having sex. This He family is extraordinary at first glance, and she can't reach a high level. Yeah, look at my brain, Aunt Lanhua reacted immediately after hearing what she said. This is so exciting. Third aunt, please think of a solution. This girl is in a state of confusion. She also says that she is not worthy of An Cheng. Tell me, how uncomfortable this makes me feel, Aunt Lanhua said directly. Grandma, he regards her as her own mother-in-law. Oh, this is not easy. It would be great to make this girl my goddaughter and drive An Cheng away with her. Well, it's not like a family doesn't stay in the same house. I really want to, but this girl is not happy. Aunt Lanhua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After Zhou Shuang heard these familiar words, his heart dropped. Hello, third grandma, I'm fine. I won't think so in the future. This was the first time she called out after coming in. She was so nervous just now that she forgot all these things. That's good. They are all members of our own family. There are not so many twists and turns. And Cheng is also a good kid. Since he has chosen you, he will definitely not make you sad or disappointed. Listen to grandma's advice. And Cheng is a good person, you won't lose anything by marrying him. After speaking, Grandma he looked at Zhou Shuang and nodded, of course, you're not a bad girl. Even if you don't marry An Cheng, you won't be any worse in this life. She acted as if she could tell fortunes. Haha, no, Shuang, this kid is so good. Aunt Lanhua didn't miss any opportunity to praise her child for free. In the kitchen, Mei Shui quickly stewed the soup with the help of Hua Mu. Came over carrying some snacks. Hey, this is An Cheng's wife, she looks so good. The first time Mei Shui saw Zhou Shuang, she saw the aura of clarity in her body. How to put it? There are three kinds of qi in life. One is black qi, as its name suggests, which is not good at first sight. The other is Qingming qi. Such people can be divided according to the thickness of Qingming qi. And Zhou Shuang is a girl with a strong spirit of purity. At first glance, she seems to be a good child with a clear mind. The third one is the aura of merit and virtue. There are very few such people. Anyway, Mei Shui doesn't see many of them. This is your Aunt Mei Shui. You can call her Aunt Shui. She doesn't like others calling her sister-in-law. Aunt Lanhua introduced Zhou Shuang. Hello, sister-in-law, I always hear An Cheng mention you. Finally, I met the real person. The sister-in-law in front of her is very powerful. She was very impressed by what An Cheng said. Really? That guy didn't say anything nice about me, Mei Shui joked. No, he said, sister-in-law, you are very powerful, even more powerful than Brother Ans. Zhou Shuang knew that Brother Ans was the husband of sister-in-law Mei Shui, but in a hurry, he told An Cheng's exact words. However, everyone became happy after hearing it. It's just that Zhou Shuang regretted it a little. Haha, you are right. Mei Shui is better than Ans. It was Grandma He who answered the question. At this point, she liked these words the most. Everyone chatted and laughed and quickly became familiar with each other. As for the marriage between Zhou Shuang and An Wen, in the end, we still didn't want to find a matchmaker for Zhou Shuang. He was not a member of the royal family, so there was no need. That's just right. This also satisfied Zhou Shuang. She originally didn't want to try to climb up to others. The engagement has been decided, but the wedding must also be set on a date. The woman has no elders, but the man cannot neglect her. So we discussed it directly with Zhou Shuang. Their wedding was scheduled for the second half of the year, and it was only early July, so it didn't take long. Originally I wanted to set the date for October 1st. But there were too many people thinking about getting married that day, and Zhou Shuang was the first to be unhappy. Later, I was joking and laughing, and everyone knew one thing. Zhou Shuang's birthday happens to be in October, which is the 10th month of the lunar calendar, but it's probably around December in the solar calendar. Now that's good, the date is set to be Zhou Shuang's birthday. Neither Zhou Shuang nor Aunt Lanhua and others had any objections. They are in such a hurry to get married, of course they choose a day that makes them happy. After the matter between An Cheng and Zhou Shuang was settled, He Jiannan and Aunt Lanhua started to get busy. They hold banquets directly at Intercontinental, so no one needs to go there. Just call the manager in Kyoto. Qian Xiang has been too busy recently. His business is getting bigger and bigger, and he has become a trapeze artist. It is better to go to him than to the manager. It would be easier to handle the betrothal gift. At that moment, Aunt Lanhua chose a day to take Zhou Shuang out shopping. 3 pieces of gold and hardware must be indispensable. This is the custom in the village. She also knows that young people don't like gold now, but it's not her intention as a mother-in-law. As for the diamonds, let An Cheng buy them himself. Big gold bracelets, big gold chains, not a single finger is empty. Anyway, Aunt Lanhua bought all the gold utensils for her daughter-in-law's betrothal gift according to her own wishes. This made Zhou Shuang very hairy. Not to mention that she spent a lot of money, she couldn't take these things out. When An Cheng came back in the evening, Zhou Shuang shared today's results with him. An Cheng laughed like a pig after reading it. Zhou Shuang was so angry that he almost kicked him out. Fortunately, An Cheng finally admitted his mistake and said that he would accompany her to pick out the diamond ring for their engagement tomorrow. It's not that they can't wear gold or carry silver. An Cheng also knows that Shuang is a very frugal person. Whether she is engaged or married, she is not a show-off person. Now let's change the update time. I really don't have time to type at night. It's okay if I have a manuscript, but it's a bit troublesome when I don't save it. From now on, it will be updated at noon during the day. I apologize for the inconvenience caused. Sorry. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 540. Chapter 540, 2 people traveling together. So when choosing things, An Cheng also put a lot of thought into choosing things that she liked but did not lose his heart. The diamond ring is not big, but it is still quite a lot, but it is very low-key, not as exaggerated as a pigeon egg. Then he bought her some jade articles. His sister-in-law said that jade nourishes people, and he hoped that she would always be in good health. An Cheng gave her one of his cards a long time ago, but she never used it. At night, An Cheng's entire weight rested on her, and he coaxed to her, "When will you use my card?" He wanted to experience the feeling of his wife using her own card. Brother Anwen always says that his sister-in-law helps him with his expenses every month, which makes him very envious. "Yes, I'll use it tomorrow. Get up and drive quickly, I'm so tired. This man doesn't look like an uncle at all in terms of energy. Haha, it's still early." The chapter night is very beautiful, of course, it also depends on who is playing it. The matter between An Cheng and Shuang has been successfully completed. Be it engaged or married, it is just a formality for the two of them. Living happily every day is their greatest happiness. A boss of Bodhi Winery got engaged, and many people from Kyoto went there. Of course, after seeing many people they could not hope for at this engagement party, they all had a crush on the boss of Bodhi Winery. New understanding. These things are not within the scope of An Cheng's consideration. All he cares about is his little fiancée. Some women who had thoughts about An Cheng also came forward to confirm one by one, wondering what ability this woman had that fascinated An Cheng so much. The engagement party was very lively, and it also gave Zhou Shuang a new understanding of He Anken's family. Of course, this understanding is limited to He Anken. It was true that she was worried, but the sisters-in-law who accompanied her throughout the whole process gave her a lot of peace of mind. After finishing the work, Hian started to run around with Xiao. Xiaolai and Xiangyang had already prepared for this and were very happy to see it. The two of them did not hide their secrets. When Hian's was busy, they were also responsible for taking care of Xiao. Xiao was really busy during the day, and he was very resentful about this, but no matter how resentful he was, there was no news from his family that made him lose his mind. Mom and Dad, am I really not good enough? He knew that he was not his biological child, but he didn't expect that the difference would be so big. That's right, Mei Shui and Hians found some time to tell him about the training. I also tried the spiritual route on Xiao again, but unfortunately, he didn't have it. There's nothing I can do, Xiao, I'm sorry, my parents didn't want to do it either. Mei Shui was also sad. Xiao looked at his mother's sad expression and knew that he really had no hope. Mom, what are you talking about? You and Dad are not sorry for me. On the contrary, I owe you too much. He knew his own affairs very well. Hians patted Xiao's shoulder and said, don't worry, we will always be a family. You will still have us behind you. No matter what happens to you in the future, we will always be there and behind you. If you can't change something, then change it. Way exists. Xiao was not a fool, and he immediately wanted to understand something. So, is the Long family a way out for me? Of course he knew about the Long family. Hians nodded, yes, Xiao, no matter what happens in the future, you have to know that your parents love you. They did not tell Hua what happened this time. It's not that I don't believe her, it's just that it's inconvenient. It would be okay if Xiao could practice to the point, but unfortunately, Xiao can't, so they just ignored Hua He. At this point, they are indeed biased, but they have no regrets. Xiao can also understand, Mom and Dad, can my children try it in the future? He can't, but what if his children can? Meixiu laughed when she heard Xiao ask this question. Mom knows what you think. No, the child is already being nursed back to health now. She didn't intend to lie to Xiao about this. So, is there hope for the child? Xiao immediately became excited after hearing her mother's words. Who doesn't want his children to prosper? Obviously there is a better way for his family to take. Of course he wants his children to follow suit. Yes, but it's only 1 in 10,000, so don't have too much hope. The reality is laid out first. It's good to have hope. If my son doesn't succeed, what about my grandson? There is always one who can follow in the footsteps of my parents and let them fulfill their filial piety by your side for me. Xiao said what was in his heart. Good boy, I've suffered a lot for you, but don't worry, your mother will keep you safe and healthy for the rest of your life. She had put a lot of effort into this eldest son over the years, so how could she not love him so much? Mother. Seeing the mother and son so close, Hians was not happy. You are so old, you still need your mother to hold you. After saying that, he directly pulled Xiao away and threw him on Xiaopeng. Xiaopeng was hit and almost killed himself. Brother, it's time for you to lose weight, Xiaopeng said with a look of resentment after supporting Xiao. After the family talked about the matter, they became happy again. Dad, will I be able to reach your level by the end of my martial arts training? How can a man not love strength? Hians shook his head. No, Xiantian Xiao couldn't go up, but he could still reach the peak of engine. At least he has the ability to protect himself in this world. But if you don't fall behind, no one can touch you unless you go to the country. Mei Shui comforted her son for fear of hurting her son. Hians not only gave him his family's company, but also gave him the power of the dragon group. If he wants to lead that group of people, he must have the ability to subdue those people. Of course, Xiao did not neglect what his parents taught him on weekdays, and he practiced very well. Putting it among the ancient martial arts of the Long family, he is considered to be the top. The Long family is also recruiting people from outside, and they are all talented people. The movements he made now were small and did not alarm the superiors. Time flies by, and the first thing that greets us is An Cheng's marriage. Zhou Shuang officially married An Cheng as the He family's wife, and became the youngest elder in the He family. After completing An Cheng's marriage, He An's and Mei Shui also welcomed their first grandson during the Chinese New Year. The two people who were grandma looked confused and accidentally became grandma. It was as if I was getting married and having children before my eyes. I didn't expect that the children are so old. As soon as Hua's son fell to the ground, Mei Shui and Hians checked him. Unfortunately, the child also had no spiritual roots. For this reason, Xiao was lost for several hours. But he soon became happy, he became a father. The full moon banquet held for the great-great-grandson of the He family was a lively event, with people from all over the capital coming to congratulate him. Among some old families, the He family has gained a foothold. At the full moon banquet, the talents of the He family changed. Hians resigned from his own affairs and handed them over directly to his eldest son He Xiu. He Xiu has become the second-generation head of the He family in Kyoto. Of course, some people looked down on him, thinking he was young and inexperienced, and wanted to see if they could get some benefits out of it. What a pity, Xiao has never suffered anything since he was a child, and his parents have trained him since he was a child. How could he suffer a disadvantage? Having fought back several times, she got full marks on the test paper. Now no one dares to underestimate the head of the He family. After Hians was free and safe, he and Mei Shui began to think about the rest of their lives. For the first half of their lives, they have been living around the elderly and children. Now, they want to have some thoughts about their own two-person world. Originally, I wanted to take my grandma with me, but my grandma didn't want to. She said she wanted to take care of her great-great-grandson at home. They saw that grandma was in good health, so they didn't force her. At most, they could just come back once a year. Not to mention Xiao Peng and Xiao Cheng, both of them rolled their eyes when they heard the news. However, they were still very reluctant to leave their parents. It doesn't matter if they are reluctant to leave, they will leave their parents sooner or later, so it is better to adapt in advance. Mei Shui and Hians can be said to have lived a very happy life, from having nothing to becoming a Kyoto aristocratic family. There are bitter, sweet, and even salty among them, but these seem to be unimportant now. The important thing is that they have completed the path they should take in life, and now they should live a good life for themselves in the time left. When they left Kyoto, they did not tell any relatives or friends. Sitting on the train to Chenbei Mountain, the two of them also concealed their appearance. Of course people close to them will recognize them at a glance. Because their appearance was too outstanding, the two of them did not want to cause trouble on the road, so they made some cover UPS. Ans, do you think there are really countless ginsengs in Chenbei Mountain? Mei Shui was just curious. The ginseng in her space was sold by the pound. Hians looked at his wife with doting eyes. I don't know, it might have been the case before, but not necessarily now. Times are developing, people are also progressing, and those hidden ginseng are slowly being discovered. I hope we can find some, just don't come back empty-handed. Mei Shui curled her lips and said. Haha, don't worry, if not, we can go to the town to buy seedlings. The conversation between the couple was also heard by other people in the carriage. Everyone laughed unkindly. You guys really think too much. How can ginseng be so easy to find now? A man with an accent said with a smile. Oh, what does this brother say? Hians also put away his aura, and now he is just like an ordinary person. At most, he looks a little handsome. But he is married and has a wife by his side. No matter how handsome he is, he cannot impress women with ideas. Because they don't think they can defeat the wife beside him. There's not much to say, but it's really not possible for you to go looking for ginseng in Chenbei Mountain. You definitely can't go deep in the mountains because it's dangerous. It's not good for you to take the risk with your wife, the man in his 30s or 40s laughed. That's definitely not the case, Hien said with certainty. Mei Shui lowered her head and smiled, but no one saw it. The mountains are their final destination. That is, it will be a little difficult for you to find ginseng, because even if there is ginseng in the surrounding mountains, it has been circled by local residents, and you cannot move it. Oh, there's another way of saying this. Hians really didn't understand, so he might as well ask to avoid breaking other people's rules. I wonder what your last name is, brother. Hians felt that this person was friendly and asked immediately. There is no one with a noble surname. My surname is Jin. You look quite young, so why not just call me brother Jin? The male servant surnamed Jin said with a smile. Hians didn't know how to answer the conversation now. Even though he was young, he was not young at all. Otherwise, he would already have grandchildren. But we can't talk about this. Forget it, there's no point in taking advantage. Brother Jin Hians no longer felt any embarrassment, and was still a little amused. I wonder if you could please tell me. The man named Jin is not an ordinary person, and his background is quite special, but now, he is just an individual. But who makes my ancestors special? His full name is Jin Fuan, and he is of Orthodox origin, but he loves doing business and has some troubles with his family. I don't know where they get the confidence. They still say that doing business is a shameful thing, and they don't even look at who gives them food, clothing, and supplies every year. There are indeed a lot of doorways here, but the road is still long, so there's no point in talking about it. On the train, Jin Fuan told Hians and others about what happened on Chenbai Mountain. When he first entered the sea, he was in the medicine business. However, business became increasingly difficult, and since he was a conscientious businessman, he switched to other industries. Normally, I keep a low profile due to family commitments. This time I went back to work on my car because of family worries. At last, under the guidance of Hians, Jin Fuan talked a lot about him. After understanding this, both Hians and Mei Shui sighed deeply. The older people get, the more confused they are. They always feel that they are superior to others. But these have nothing to do with them, it's not important, it's still nice to be a passing friend. Several days passed, and they finally arrived at the foot of Chenbai Mountain. After getting off the train, they parted ways with Jin Fuan, and now it was just the two of them. Do you think we should go directly into the mountains? Anyway, we don't have to worry about food and clothing, and we don't have to bother others everywhere. There is no hotel for them to stay here. Okay, I just want to take a walk around. They say Chenbai Mountain is the origin of the Dragon Kingdom, so we have to take a good walk. Mei Shui prefers deep mountains. Sure, I'll listen to you. The two of them went directly up the mountain from an unknown place. The two of them didn't care at all how far it was to go into the mountain. They were just like traveling and had a great time. Look, this is Sankai. This is a good thing. If Xiaopeng is here, he will definitely be very happy. When it got dark, the two found a water source to rest. Along the way, Mei Shui found many good things, such as the Panax noto ginseng plant she is holding in her hand now, which is 100 years old. He likes it and doesn't know how to look for it. You, don't dig everything, you will be exhausted, Hian said with heartache. What do you know, medicinal materials won't go bad if stored. Let's find more, maybe we can use them in the future. Mei Shui rolled her eyes at him and said with disapproval. Come on, it's the end of the month, everyone, please subscribe. Whether the author will have food next month depends on everyone. Thank you to all the babies who subscribed and voted. Thank you very much. End of this chapter. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 541. Chapter 541, He Family Daily Life 01. Okay, what you said is right, Come over and have something to eat. The two of them don't rely on space for everything, and they always like to do a lot of things themselves. After dinner, the two of them entered the tent. Now it's just the two of them, and they can do whatever they want. There is no need to worry about whether you can get up early the next day. Hyans also started to let himself go. Originally, he didn't spend much time with Mei Shui, but now he has to make up for it all. Mei Shui's physical fitness was not inferior to him, and the two of them started to compete with each other. But when it comes to matters between men and women, it is the woman who always suffers. After walking in the deep mountains for an unknown amount of time, I finally arrived at the most famous Tianke. Here, the two of them clearly felt the surge of spiritual energy, but they were unable to absorb it. It's very strange here. Mei Shui was not lacking in aura, but she was a little curious. What, are you interested? Hyans knew her well. The more novel things are now, the more she likes them. Of course, we came here just to find this strange place, Mei Shui said with emotion. Sure, I listen to you. Since this spiritual power comes from the water, let's go down and look for it. Hyans obeyed Mei Shui's words. After getting ready, the two of them went straight into the water. Fortunately there is no one around, otherwise. What the hell? There was no movement at all when the two of them entered the water. The water in Tianke seemed to be afraid of them and gave way to them. It was more terrifying than seeing ghosts. The two of them came to Chenbai Mountain Tianke with the intention of having fun, but they didn't expect that they would actually gain something. The underwater world is very cold, and even the two of them are intimidated by this place. It's so cold, Mei Shui couldn't help but say as she hid her body in Hyan's arms. Hold tight, I'm afraid there's a mystery below. Hyans had learned formations and was much more sensitive to the environment than Mei Shui. The whole person is tense. Have you discovered anything? Mei Shui heard the seriousness in his words. I don't know. I feel like there's something threatening us here. I just don't know if it's a human or a spiritual beast. Even though Hyan's cultivation level is not as high as that of Mei Suejio, he practices thunder magic and is more sensitive to the rules of heaven and earth than she is. Much. How about we go up? Mei Shui felt a little uneasy for some reason. After all, it is said that this is the birthplace of the Dragon Kingdom. For rookies like them, if they really have a backup here, I'm afraid they will just deliver food. It's okay, I feel like there is an opportunity for us here. Hyans frowned. Why did he frown? Because he had a vague and uncertain feeling in his heart. He felt the opportunity, but there was also an aura of danger. I just don't know whether the opportunity outweighs the crisis, or whether the crisis outweighs the opportunity. Are you sure you want to go? Mei Shui asked in a panic. Hyans hugged her tightly, and then stared into the distance under the dark water. He nodded firmly. Go, we've all come, how can we just leave like this? He was unwilling to accept it. Okay, I'll accompany you. Since he wants to go, she should accompany him. Hyans took a deep look at her and smiled. It's okay. As long as we are together, everything will be fine. I don't know whether to comfort myself or her. It's a pity that the dark world under the water didn't give them much time, and soon the vision happened. I saw a tornado in the water not far away coming directly towards them. Even with spiritual protection, the clothes on the two of them were affected by the tornado in the water. The tornado is getting closer and closer, and their spiritual shield can no longer support it. In an instant, the two figures disappeared from the water. After Xiao's parents left, he took over the business left to him by his father. On the first day of work, he was still able to persevere. As time went by, he finally realized his father's hard work. Uncle Xiang, you can make up your own mind on these matters. You don't have to go through me, Xiao said helplessly as he looked at the contract handed to him by Uncle Xiang. Xiang Yang smiled. It was not that he was too careful or had other thoughts. He did this just so that he could quickly control the entire Yuan Hang Group's business. Don't complain to me. These were all arranged by your father before he left. I don't know how big his heart is, but you, a father now, have the heart to let you come to work, Xiang Yang said sarcastically. Xiao knows Uncle Xiang and Uncle Tai very well. These two people really don't want to see his father rest. Uncle Xiang, if you have any objections, you can tell my dad directly. It's useless to complain to me. Xiao looked helplessly at Xiang Yang, who was sitting on the sofa, and said, "No, your dad is a man with a heart but no humanity. In his eyes, everyone is equal except your mother. You, don't complain, just live with it." This point was his, and Tai Lai figured it out after a while. Haha, it's fun to think about it. There is nothing they can do against Hians. Can't his son make him work harder? What a pity, Xiang Yang still doesn't understand Tai Lai. He is no stupider than Hians. Just as Hian slowly handed over the handover, he also slowly handed over his share to Xiao's hands. Step by step, even Hians didn't think much about it, let alone the child Xiao. "Uncle Xiang, you can't take all your anger out on me," Xiao said with an innocent look. "Oh, how can this be possible? You are different from your father." After saying that, Xiang Yang stood up and said, "I have finished drinking the tea. Remember to read the contract and sign it before giving it to me. I will use it tomorrow. Woolen cloth." After saying that, Xiang Yang left the top floor. This is where Hians used to work, but now he uses it directly for Xiao. Looking at the piles of documents on the table, Xiao felt that even if he worked overtime, he might not be able to finish them in a few days. Alas, why is his father so cruel? Nor wait for him to grow any longer. Not long after Xiang Yang left, a man who looked like a secretary walked in. "Mr. Xiao He." The man knocked on the door of the office, which was still open. Xiao raised his head from his deep thoughts. When he saw the person coming, he felt his body was hairy. "It's Secretary Li. Didn't Uncle Tai come here today?" This Secretary Li is Uncle Tai's secretary, a person he recruited after coming to Kyoto. They are quite capable in everything. Mr. Tai asked for leave today. He is not feeling well. Secretary Li is also very friendly. Yesterday, Mr. Tai said he would go back and have a drink. Why is he sick now? He also asked his wife to call him. What? What's wrong with Uncle Tai? What's wrong with him? As soon as he heard that Uncle Tai was sick, Xiao stood up excitedly. Secretary Li is a very smart person. He knows his boss very well. Being sick is just an excuse. Not coming is his true intention. "Mr. Xiao He, don't worry, Mr. Tai just has a fever, and his wife called me this morning." Fortunately, he knew that the relationship between the three bosses was really good, otherwise he would have thought that it was Mr. Tai who was giving power to Mr. Xiao He. Is it better now? Xiao thought for a while. No, I'll give Uncle Tai a call. After saying that, he took out his phone and dialed Uncle Tai's number directly. As for Tai Lai, he was shopping with his wife. It was rare to have a rest today. Since arriving in Kyoto, his wife had closed her business. I know that she is doing it for myself. Over the years, I have been busy and have never spent much time with her. It is rare to have free time now, so of course he must spend time with her. Xiaoli, please slow down, Xiao called me, I'm going to answer the phone. It's so noisy here that he can't answer the phone here. He is still sick. Of course, Luo Lily knew what her man was up to. She rolled her eyes and said, "You go ahead, I'll just go shopping here." This mall is the largest Wang family mall in Kyoto. You can buy anything here, which is very convenient. Tai Lai put down her things with Xiao, "I'll be back soon." "I won't go to the company today." He promised to accompany her today. "It's okay, you don't mean what you say, it's not just a day or two." Luo Lily didn't want to talk about this with him. When he came to the toilet, Tai Lai answered the phone and coughed twice. "Xiao, why are you calling me at this time? Did something happen to the company?" Cough cough, this person is so fake. Xiao would never have thought that Uncle Tai, who was so kind to him, would lie to him. Uncle Tai, I heard Secretary Li said that you are sick. What's wrong with you? Logically speaking, Uncle Tai has been taking the medicine given to them by his mother and is not sick. The cause does not exist. He was a little confused. It's okay, it's okay. It's just that your Aunt Li was a little uncomfortable yesterday. I took care of her all night. No, I also have a headache. Tai Li casually made an excuse. Of course, if you get your wife, she will be able to say a few words for you. Aunt Li is not feeling well too. What's wrong with you? How about I ask Xiaopeng to come over and take a look at you? Xiao was really worried now. Don't bother Xiaopeng. He is busy with his studies now. Your Aunt Li and I don't have much to do. We just need to rest for 2 days. Your Aunt Li and I have been taking the pills your mother gave us and we are in good health. How dare he ask Xiaopeng to come over and take a look? How bad it would be to be exposed by then. That's it, that's fine. Uncle Tai, you can rest at home these 2 days. There's Uncle Xiang in the company, he's still a little behind on the job now. Cheng, I'm very relieved to have you. And Xiang Yang, when he heard that Xiao didn't ask anyone to come, his heart dropped and he even forgot about the fake cough. After hanging up the phone, Tai Lai went to find Luo Lily to spend time with his wife. Xiang Yang, who was in the company, was furious when he found out that Xiao Lai didn't come today. You villain, he is such a villain, he actually dares to use illness as an excuse. I think he is suffering from a terminal illness. It's not like he doesn't know how good their health has been over the years. It was just an excuse, but Xiao still believed it, which really him off. He also has a wife and children at home, and he also wants to go home to spend time with his wife and children. Why didn't he think of pretending to be sick? The secretary who had been following Xiang Yang was really dumbfounded when he saw his boss making face. Mr. Xiang, why don't you also take sick leave? He suggested. Xiang Yang glared at him. What the hell, that Tai Lai used the same trick on me again. Am I stupid or is Xiao stupid? Why did he recruit such a stupid assistant? How about you invite me again tomorrow? Secretary Wang said. Xiang Yang really wanted to slap this silly secretary to death. Come on, forget it, go ahead and do your work, I have to think of a way. Xiang Yang waved the person away and said. After Secretary Wang left, Xiang Yang began to complain, we are all secretaries, why are there such big differences? Sai, why can't he recruit a smart assistant? There are a lot of things in the company, and Xiao forgets them from morning till night, and even has his lunch taken back to the company. You can imagine how many things there are. He had always kept Xiao La's illness in mind and was worried about it, but he was busy with things at hand. Since Uncle Xiao said there was no big problem, he could just go and check it out later. After making arrangements in his mind, Xiao began his mission of being a cow. After Mei Shui and Hian's left, the He family did not become deserted because of the addition of the baby. On the contrary, it is very lively every day. Sister, it's wrong for you to hug me like this, because you should be hugged like this. Uncle Shi has really retired now. He is planting flowers and walking birds every day. He is very free. No, as soon as the great-great-grandson of the He family was born, he immediately ran over. Grandma, he was very unkind to him. This person was just blind. Didn't he see that she was unhappy? I still go here every day. You don't have any children at home, you want to play with your own, why can't she hold her? Humph, isn't he the one who brought up all the children in the family? Grandma, he was very dissatisfied with this. You are different now than you were before. Xiao and the others didn't have such a thing before. The old man showed off, holding a diaper in his hand. Grandma, he turned pale at him and said, my Xiaopeng and the others used this thing when they were kids. If Xiaoxiu hadn't hidden the price from her, she would have stopped using it for them. I don't believe it, the old man said unconvinced. Then why didn't I find it when I went to your house? Why don't I treat you with diapers when you come to my house, Grandma? He rolled her eyes. Hua has a headache. Her mother-in-law is not at home. It's okay for her to take care of the children alone, but there is no one to suppress these old men and ladies. She has a big head. They are all elders, and she does not dare to say harsh words. I had no choice but to quietly pack up the child and carry him away from this troubled place. Grandma, he did not notice the behavior during the quarrel with Uncle Shi, otherwise she would definitely not be able to leave. After returning to her room, Hua breathed a sigh of relief. The child is very well behaved and doesn't cry much, but because of this, he is liked by everyone, and everyone can't put it down. It's so painful. You brat, it's all your fault. The child is now almost 3 months old, and his sleeping time is much shorter than before, and he still interacts with them. If it weren't for you, your father and I would still be living abroad. She never expected that her parents-in-law would actually hand over the entire family to them after they got married and had children. Such a father-in-law is really unique in the world. How about we go find Daddy? Hua felt that it was better to be with her husband. The child thought his mother was playing with him, so he burst into laughter. Laughing, haha, you just agreed, then let's go. There is no need to pack the things for the child, they are all in the bag. The votes are moving, thank you all. End of this chapter.